The Dode Fox Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Dode Fox Podcast. I'm Ronnie, he's Paul, and by the time you listen to this episode, Scotland could already have a World Cup playoff spot secured. Or they could be sitting clear at the top of the group with 2 games still to go. Here's hoping. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell on YouTube. Support the pod, buymeacoffee.com/DodeFoxPodcast. Listen at DodeFoxPodcast.com and give us a wee follow on social media. We're at Dode Fox Podcast.
Coming up on this week's episode, the week that was, the Rangers preview, Loan Report, Women's Team, Academy Lads, the Tannadice Test, On This Day with the Arab Archive, and young Erch, Archie Meekison, is our special guest. It's all coming up on episode 305 of the Dode Fox Podcast. Shug Faulkner was not just a massive United fan, he was one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Our thoughts are with all of his family and friends at this incredibly difficult time. He'll be sorely missed by so many. Rest in peace, Shug.
I'm Ian Harks, and you're listening to the Dode Fox Podcast.
So welcome back to the award-winning Dode Fox Podcast with Don't Love Me for Fun. Girl, let me be the one, girl. Love me for a reason. Let the reason be love. Paul McNichol. And hoping he'll stop going on about those boys' own tickets, Ronnie Costello. Can we start with a tweet this week, Paul?
Please do, yeah.
This is an incredibly poor performance from Scotland up to now. Seem to be more than happy to not have the ball at home to Greece. And I appreciate that Greece are a good team, but there's no need to be giving them this much respect. If they score, they'll win. Greece did score.
Mm-hmm.
What was the final score?
Well, I tweeted that.
It was somebody in this room, and one of them's no on Twitter. So
Okay.
I wonder what could be.
Okay. I stand by that. In that moment, that is the way it felt. That is absolutely the way it felt. And if I've made a complete tit of myself and Scotland win the game, I'm absolutely fine with that as well, Rondo. That was diabolical for about the first 60-odd minutes of that game. It was a real tough watch, but I'll take it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It was...
Too many times Scotland have played very well and you get absolutely nothing. You get reamed at the last.
Yes.
No, but no, this time. We were doing the reaming.
We were doing the smashing and the grabbing.
Yes, we were.
I was at a work event on Thursday, arranged while Scotland are playing. Well, I thought of that.
Bad games.
But we actually got to watch this on like a 135-inch LED video wall. It was
Grim.
shite to watch for 60 minutes on such a magnificent screen.
Yeah.
But the absolute scenes when the goals were going in were
Brilliant.
class.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
And you know what? It was any of the nights watching it that comments get made in rooms of he should be off, and then obviously he goes and scores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was, the third goal's the third goal, right? But see, when the second went in, you were actually like, holy shit, like we have kicked these Greeks in the balls.
Yeah.
Stole their PC money.
Yeah.
Their lunch money, their back lunch. We've stole that for them.
Yeah. Took their
And
car
off we
keys,
went.
posed their car. It was ridiculous, like the way it all panned out. But like that's football, isn't it? Football, it's you didn't always get what you deserve a lot of the time. But
As we know, the heartbreak of Hampden over and over.
But as a fan on the right side of this for once, then you're more than happy to take it. But what I would say though is if Scotland play like that every game, like they're not going to win every game.
No.
You kind of, and I do stand by the fact that I do think Greece are a very good team. But when you allow very good teams, we've said it over and over, like when you allow very good teams to hay the bar and just try and soak it up, which we actually did. So again, Steve Clark was 100% spot on in what he done. But
And there was a really good save for Angus Gunn at one point.
Brilliant, right at the end,
Yeah.
when it was 2-1. Yeah, so they all played their part, but as a fan watching that it was dire for the first 60 minutes, and then obviously elation come the end of it.
Oh, I had a great laugh. I loved it. I only seen somebody sent it to me. He says, there he is, speaking shite as normal.
100%. Yeah, I'll be the first to say that I speak shite all the time, especially about football.
Yeah. But it's, like I alluded to, it's 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, but like you get the result tea time the night.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Class.
It would
They
be.
got an absolute reaming on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think even their president come out and said that they're stinking. maybe no his exact quote, but that was essentially what he meant.
Lost in translation there.
I didn't think it was, but yeah, they're not even getting to play at home, are they, because of the political situation, whatever, with Russia and Ukraine. But they're just a shambles of a team just now. So
yeah.
I think Scotland will win. There goes me talking shite again. Like, people will be tuning into this having watched our country lose 2-0 now. But I think they'll win. But Scotland tend not to batter teams.
Mm-hmm.
And we could be battering a team just now.
Well, you'd see a 3-1 result against Greece and think we'd battered them, eh?
You would. If you hadn't watched that game, you'd be looking at that thinking, masterclass for Steve Clarke. And it might have been. But
and it's now the missed appearance as a manager, missed games in charge as Scotland manager.
70 odd or something, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's still not won everybody over. So that's the way it goes.
No.
It's no easy being a manager.
Amazing when he was going to get it up the Rangers' mind. Kelly, that was class.
Yeah.
I think the SFA there went, he's a man for us, because we've heard about their practice as a appointed manager.
Correct.
And you thought, fair play, but some games are not easy, but he's getting, the results are somehow coming.
Yeah. I suppose the concern would be, even if he gets this team to the World Cup, it's very hard to criticise anything. But he's got us to 2 Euros, and then we've shot the bed at both Euros. If you get to the World Cup, great achievement. But if you then go ultra defensive again, then there's a bit of me thinking, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what would then? Like, if you get there, hey, go. Like, let the shackles off.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. It was, we speaking about on Thursday, actually, and he was at the Euros, and I was saying, oh, it's just kind of like watching this in mind, obviously going back to Germany, and I was like, I was actually with Martin in the clubby watching the first game, and you're like, oof, this is grim. And he says, I was at 3 games. He says, and I didn't pay face value for my tickets. I says, we're getting a ballpark for you. And he's like, he says, I was £1,600. And I was like, ooh, for 3 games, that's a lot. He went, for the Germany game. And I went, oh. He says, but I told the wife it was about $1,000 in again. But he was, I'm sure he said he was about, the other tickets weren't obviously near expensive, and he was there for 12 days or something.
Yeah.
And he says,
not cheap, eh?
No, absolutely no, but fair play to him. But he was,
my old man, like, I think he was face value for the first game, because that was the curtain raiser. That was the first game of the tournament, wasn't it? That was the opening ceremony and everything. But he was hundreds of pounds for his ticket, and that was face value. Like, it's mental.
That's class. But hopefully, by the time this comes out,
we're sitting pretty
good position.
That's all we ask.
A few bits to get through for the week that was. We mentioned last week about Zach Satsford and Will Ferry just missing out. Will Ferry got the call.
Yep.
He didn't get off the bench last night against the greeting-faced striker. I missed his penalty, but heartache at the end as the Irish went down 1-0 to Portugal.
Brilliant for him to get the call up, though. Just to be a part of that. And what a first game. It's a pity, I suppose, he doesn't get off the bench, but you know, the way I was kind of had one eye on the game, one eye on darts that I was watching, but it would have been like the way that the game was playing out, I never seen him coming on. I just didn't see it happening. But to be a part of it, as I say, that's his first call up. Hopefully it's the first of a few. And I don't know if they've got another game coming Tuesday. Fingers crossed that he gets on. Hopefully there was a few niggles and struggles picked up last night.
Yeah, hopefully. Amar Fatah chose to stay at United during the break after talks with Sweden's under-21 coaches. I think it's fair to say the Sweden under-21 setup know exactly what Amar Fatah is all about.
No, he's obviously got his eyes set a wee bit higher. But it's a risk for his point of view, though, because you don't know what will happen with his contract. And I can't hear about the Swedish Football Association, the way that runs itself and whatever. Hopefully that doesn't go against him further down the line, but at least it shows a willingness for a United point of view that he wants to knuckle down and work on fitness, work on further integrating himself.
Well, they were saying obviously he was actually ill most of the week before the game last week, hence the reason he probably only started on the bench and whatever. So it could be a bit of that.
Of course. No, but fair play. I mean, he's come out, he's been honest. So
and the VAR, I don't know if you've noticed, but the VAR had a bit of time off and are in different places at the moment. Now I think it was last season where we see where people are went. I know like Kucherenko's in like Tenerife and
Satsford was in Malaga.
Something like that. You know, again, for them to get 3-4 days, because I don't know if this has happened yet. Like, I think they've been pretty going and whatever. And I think we've said before, can sometimes that mental, physical refresh.
The club have took them to Luxembourg. The club have took them elsewhere. You know, Austria. But it's nice wee trips.
Well,
wee excursions.
Yeah, got on the Jaeger bombs if you need that. So that'll be. I never really kept an eye on where that were, but fair play to them. Prunchi Camara is on the international board. He got his 6th cap the other night. They've again have probably got another game to play. Could be
They do.
tonight, actually.
So in his fellow countryman that plays for Everton, is that the boy Beto?
Oh, the striker.
The striker.
Okay.
Did you see his miss in the game?
No.
Right. You'll hate to search that
Bad.
Masut Rondo. It's Alan Temple, I'm sure, has quote tweeted it or something. So that's how you'll find it. It's one of the worst misses I've ever seen. Considering that he's probably their star man.
Okay.
I can't imagine they've got a more high profile player than the boy for Everton. Oh my goodness, you hate to watch it. I think they lost the game, but they shouldn't have lost. It was mind Happy's Sadak Anaku doing at Livingston.
Oh wow.
It's on a par with that, but maybe a wee bit worse.
That is bad.
It may be a wee bit worse.
That is bad.
Unbelievable.
Rory, Salmon, Miller, Thompson all featured as Scotland won 12-0 on Thursday night. Miller scored the 11th goal. Rory started the game. Salmon Miller came on in it.
Clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
Clean sheet for Rory. That's what I'm hearing. And a goal for Miller.
What are you getting out of that?
Nothing. For the boys, they've represented their country. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
For Big Sam, he's not had far to go to get to the game.
I mean, I got
get him.
I got to Miller Thompson putting the 11th goal in, and I think they were embarrassed to celebrate.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't have happened when you score for your country.
That's madness.
No great.
That's madness. But hey ho. They represented their country. They've got caps, and it's a win, a clean sheet, and a goal.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yuri Yovo didn't get off the bench, and I forgot to check Dario Namo. So I'm not sure, but I'm assuming he played.
Oh, he was man of the match.
Aye.
Man of the match.
Scored a hat-trick.
Double hat-trick, I think it was, yeah.
Even better. Do you know who Scott Allardyce has just signed for? Now, this would normally be in Where Are They Now, but it's only Alan Campbell's name on it, and I'm only mentioning this because of the randomness of it.
No idea. The last time I saw Scott Allardyce was a couple of weeks ago in the gym in Lochie. So is it? I'll not be a junior team. Absolutely.
No.
Because
it's not even in this country.
Okay.
It's not even on this continent.
He was at Inverness, wasn't he? He was at
Ross County or
Ross
Inverness,
County.
one of the two.
Yeah. I think he played for both of them, actually, did he?
Yes.
Right, so that was the last place he went. So it's not on this continent.
No. Just signed
Australia.
the other week. No, but you're in the right
direction.
Side of the world.
Yeah.
He is playing for Ratchaburi FC in Thailand.
They're a good team. What have you had?
No, the highlights I've seen. Well, he
never heard them.
He basically signed. Next day, played in the AFC Championship, which I think's their Champions League out there, against, I want to say, an Australia team, possibly. Lord Fox fact. But the other day, they played against any of the big Japanese teams. No in height, obviously, but Gambo Saka or something like that. And it's he has a pretty good chance. Keeper saves it. They get beat, but you're thinking, wow. And it literally come out. I can't even mind when I seen it. I want to say bizarrely, it might have been on LinkedIn.
Okay. That
somebody had maybe liked it, and I went, wow. And I done a wee Google and I thought, that's getting mentioned to fill time this week.
Well, fair play to him. That's the benefit of having agents, I would imagine.
Yeah, it took a long time though. Got him out October.
Yeah, that is a long time.
And he was in the gym with you.
Yeah.
No, but
no, he wasn't with me. No. He was actually doing stuff.
Listen to you grunting.
No, I didn't grunt in the gym.
Your
no.
Hulk Hogan wristbands on.
I just walk up to the machines, look at them, and think, "That's that ain't checked off." Yep.
Right.
No point using them.
What's that vending machine thing I hear much about?
Here, where's the Highland toffee machine? This is no good. I need a hot chocolate.
Nah, so that's where he is. He's out in Thailand at the minute.
Fair play.
And do you fancy buying Kevin McDonald's gaff and Carnoustie?
When I saw it was called the chocolate box, I absolutely, with my sweet teeth, fancied purchasing that property, and then I saw the price, Rondo, and
offers over £670,000.
I had to rule myself out.
I
had to rule myself out by about £600,000. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Nice house, though. Nice house.
I don't look. I'm not going to lie.
Nice house.
And then went, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to sell it twice, I think, but because he's doing it at Exeter, obviously, most of the week, and
I think he stays down south as well, doesn't he? Yeah, so fair dues. And it's an awful lot of money to be living in property just sitting empty, I suppose. So
unless you've got too much of it,
correct, which I do not.
no.
So I do hate chocolate box in my house, but it's got the words Quality Street written on it, Rondo. That's it. That's where that was going.
Wow. Right then. So, Scotland weekend, obviously. And up until last night, I thought a new manager bounce was coming against next week at Ibrox.
Yeah.
But old Steven Gerrard's went, nah, no for me, lads.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, to be totally honest with you.
I still expect us to face a team with a new manager.
Yeah, I would think so as well.
And it's quite hard to say what kind of the Rangers team will turn up, because indifferent they've been, mere Jekyll and Hyde, but mere, they didn't care what team's going to turn up. But it's not been great for them, but it's been fucking hilarious for everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, even if they didn't get a manager in, you might still see an improvement, because I suspect that Russell Martin's tactics were maybe even a hindrance to the players rather than a help to them. So it is, I did have a good chuckle, very good chuckle, when I realised that Stevie G wasn't coming back. I was disappointed that they got rid of Russell Martin, because I wanted him, or I wanted to if he was going to call us Dundee, like all previous Rangers managers seem to.
I've dealt with that. See, what you've definitely today.
It's in the contract. But you're spot on. Like, who knows what sort of Rangers side we're going to see? They might be up for it. They might be as minging as they've been all season. You just never know. You just never know. But I think that we'll be prepared for it anyway. We'll be set up the way that we probably normally set up.
We'll be back with sunburn for Tenerife.
Yeah.
Malaga.
Yeah. Hopefully there's no like blisters or nothing. I know you don't want boys missing games with stuff like that. But I'm sure other players will be refreshed. They'll be looking forward to it. And it's not going to be easy, is it? Like, regardless of their struggles, and they have had a lot of struggles relatively this season. It's still not going to be an easy game. It's still the Rangers away. It's still Ibrox. They're still going to get a penalty at some point, and we're just here to navigate out of that.
Absolutely, all of the above.
Yeah.
In terms of, obviously, we spoke about last week and the week before, and the changing shapes and all that kind of stuff. At the minute, a week out, everyone comes back, hopefully no injuries or anything for like international or, like you say, breaks and stuff like that. Would you expect to see? What would you like to see? What's the McNichol crystal ball possibly telling you we might see at 5-2 or when the team sheet comes out next week?
Maybe in a qualified football coach, Rondo.
I like it.
I'd like to see the team here go. Because I know that there's certain matches where it definitely shoots hay in three in the middle. I don't think Rangers will play three in the middle. I think they'll. I mean, the expectation for all and sundry around the Rangers is that they've got to go and beat us. That's as simple as that. So they'll go to win the game. So I think they'll. I don't know if they play 4-3-3 or whatever they play, but I would like to see us here go, because I think what we've saw so far, regardless of what they can maybe produce at times going forward, with the boy Gassama, the wee Rat Raskan, he's a very good player. They do have good players, but I think that they can be got at the back. Like, there's no doubt about that, and we look pretty good going forward at times ourselves. So,
well, we like playing against teams that'll come at us.
Of course, it suits us. So I would be inclined to have a go. We
don't want to hit the bar too much. We like to get it and get it up the park.
Yeah.
As we've seen the last two games when it's been really frustrating.
Yeah, of course. But no, I would be. I'm not going to say I'd be disappointed if we didn't have a go, but. Like, I think Jim Goodwin will set us up to have a go. Like, when you think back to last season, he would bring in, like, Kai Fotheringham. He was always one that came in for these games, because I assume he just wanted him to run himself into the ground and do a job more than, like, go and attack and whatever. But I think that we've got a wee bit more about us this season, and I would like to see us really take the bull by the horns and get into them.
How do you think that midfield's going to be? 2, 3? What are you thinking?
I think it'll be a 2. Yeah.
And I think the big thing that we saw, certainly the first half last week, is if those two are no bang at it, and they've played a lot of football, but if they're no bang at it, there's a gaping hole in there. If they are bang at it, Archie camera will cover other grass.
Yeah, but I'd be surprised if we get outnumbered by them in the middle. It tends to be like a team like a Kilmarnock, Livingston. It doesn't surprise me that they've got a wee bit more in the middle of the park, just to strengthen their team going forward. But I just think Rangers they'll be a wee bit more cavalier than them. So I didn't see us getting outnumbered, even if we've only got like a Vichko and Kamara, or Sibbald and Kamara, or Vichko, whatever formation and options that he goes with. So it's definitely a chance to go and get a good result. Touch wood. hopefully we didn't get absolutely scudded. But there isn't the same level of fear going there this season, I don't believe, as there has been the previous seasons. And that's no me saying it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy going through Glasgow to get any sort of result. But I think that there's definitely a result there to be won.
What about that front three? Obviously made the change last week. Again, obviously it came out that Fatah didn't train much that week, so it was kind of maybe more forced than anything.
Yeah.
Would you see that going back to Fatah, Sapsford and Ivan?
Yeah. If I'm picking a team, that's
Makes
probably
sense.
what I go with. Yeah, definitely.
I think we're in quite an interesting place at the minute. As I sleep at my eye, the team kind of picks itself at the moment. Like, because I mean, the way we line up, I don't think there's a space for Ryan Strain in it.
Yeah.
And Lucas Stevenson is. I like him. I mean, it'd be great to have him in midfield, but just because of the way we play at the minute.
Yeah. And that might come in time with injuries and niggles and suspensions
100%.
as the season moves forward. Because, like Luca, we didn't need anybody else to tell, but he's very good in a number of positions.
Well, I think at most there's probably 9 definite starters every week, and then there's the odd conversation of, are you changing MD in midfield? Are you then changing shape, and then are you tweaking up front? There's no many. Like the back three at the minute picks itself. The keeper, Will Ferry, Van Sapsford probably picks himself. The midfield, again, you might not say
Sapsford's the one up front that I would say is undroppable just now, because he can play centre forward.
The glue.
He can play the right. He could play coming in off the left. So you didn't.
He's such a good football player.
He really is. You didn't attack him out the lineup. Dolchik can be hot and cold. Fatah.
It's interesting. The manager said that, obviously. Just want a wee bit more. And going back, he's no. I mean, again, it's not his job to go back and get the bar, but sometimes you need your winger to just go back and get the bar.
You just need to get the sleeves rolled up sometimes. But no, that's never going to be his strong suit. He's always going to do his best work for the team going forward. But there definitely will be games, Livingston and Kelly, like prime examples, where you've just got to, if you're not getting involved where you want to get involved, you've got to go and help out and muck in. That's just the way that football is if you want to be successful in it.
It's obviously one of the worst experiences going through there, even just for parking and being held in like cattle and all that. But to go there and get a result and just add to their woes would be quite magnificent. Really.
It really would, yeah. Like there's no getting away from that. It would be any win through there's a famous win in my opinion. And yeah, that would be the cherry on the top, especially if they get a new manager and his first game's a defeat for the world famous. That would be tremendous.
It would be exceptional, yes. Obviously, we saw Trapmanowski coming back in last week. There's still obviously a few weeks away for Ross Graham and that. And like we touched on last week, you think come the end of maybe this month into November, that squad could really start to look really strong with a lot of options in there. Obviously, once Owen's no grounded anymore as well, come back
disappeared.
Yeah.
It's just disappeared.
So the PlayStation took off him and
oh, that's bad, pocket money stock.
Maggie's phone took off him as well.
That's how he's disappeared then.
It's no
presence at all.
So, it'll be interesting way. But I think, are we playing them at a good time? Like for us as well?
Well, for us, we're doing all right, although the last 2 games have been disappointing. There's no getting away from that. It's hard to know. It's regardless if it's a good time. In fact, I would say a good time to have played them maybe would have been a couple of weeks ago. That would have been a better time to play them. Is it good time? It's hard to know because we really didn't know. I mean, who's in charge? Who have they put in charge just now? Well, Russell Martin's been punted. I've not even been paying that much of attention because I assumed that they were going to get Steven Gerrard back, and that's hilariously not happened. And now they're talking about somebody that was at Sheffield Wednesday.
Danny Roll.
Never heard of him.
I suppose, that's really that interested, but after the whole thing of Russell Martin coming up here after the bit of the shit show you had at Southampton, he could play good football. They could play it out for the back. You've got one team to bet, lads.
Yeah.
The rest should be,
100%.
And they're not even that great. So it's never worked. And then you would then think we are the dosh, they've invested and stuff, and then you go and get a bigger name. Again, why that is, but I mean, soon as you heard Gerrard, you did go, they were no bad team. He knew how to play the game as well. Obviously, couldn't have stopped Jamie Robson scoring a winner, but
No, he was a far better player than he was a manager.
But again, he only had to beat one team up there, and for one season he managed to do it. So
one season when there was no crowds.
You're always going to get that, but you kind of now go, well, to bring it on. Like, I mean, I don't think it would have mattered, because I think you're right. I think it would have been better a few weeks ago, but you're still playing a
No, you don't know. Like,
team that are not doing great.
And that's the only thing that's probably in the back of Jim Goodwin's mind. That he's usually, when you go into a game against anybody, you kind of know, all right, I'm playing against Davy Martindale team, or I'm playing against Brendan Rodgers. You can usually how they're going to set up. But if it's this boy Danny Roll, I'm sure Goodwin will ken why he is. I ken nothing about him. I don't ken how he sets his teams up. And if it's no him, if it's whoever's being the caretaker manager, how are you meant to ken the way they're going to set their team up? So just here you go.
I'd be amazed if it was any different what they've been doing recently.
Well, probably, yeah. But I'll hate it. But they'll hate it. From their point of view, they'll hate to be better, because if it's no any different, then that will be right up our street.
And I hope they're no.
I hope they're worse.
I hope they're absolutely fucking shite.
I'll take it.
Yeah, damn right we will. But yeah, Saturday 3:00 for that one. I can't remember the TV games next week. Doesn't matter.
No.
And then the following week, St Mirren at home, and then we've got a midweek away to Motherwell, and then again with no game, 3-weeker because Celtic are in the final. Yeah. That's
I mean, a 3-weeker or Celtic, both a pain in the arse, really, is it? There's no winner there.
And then 2 weeks later, Scotland booking their spot, guaranteed.
Hopefully
for that. But
it's
amazing.
Shit in the bed.
It's like, say, and I was saying this on Thursday to a few boys, because obviously there's people there for kind of the industry over Scotland, and I support different teams, and even some of them that have went out cups early, they're like, it's a pain in the arse because of the international breaks. I don't know if we just didn't realise this last year, Ken, but if you go out that cup early, it's like it's so stop-start, and kind of some of them are the same.
Well, we were in was it the quarters we got to last time? Was it the quarters?
Can't even mind.
Against Motherwell? I'm sure. I think we went around further. I could be wrong, but I think we went around further, because it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't seem like we missed that many weekends.
Yeah.
It's just madness.
Can. Especially when there's 3 weeks and you're like, well, we're speaking of this week.
And when you can, you've got nobody to speak to, you're like, oh no.
Yes.
Hey-ho.
Yeah, that's your job. It's not doing me.
Hey-ho.
But we'll get to that, because it's a good in the day. Certainly is a good in. But yeah, Rangers away on Saturday. Buy me a coffee this week then, Paul. What have we got?
We've got Ian Taylor. He bought 3 coffees. Thoroughly enjoy listening to yous twat on a Monday morning whilst walking the dog, and find myself agreeing with almost all of Paul's musings.
Must be some dog walk, especially the days you listen to this.
Yeah. The dogs will be knackered.
They will
I dare say. Bloodsweatandtangerine.com bought a coffee. I think they buy coffees all the time, Rondo. Thank you very much. And Uddy Arab bought 2 coffees. Arabest boys from sunny Turkey this week. See you at Colditz next week, Paul. I think he's just showing off that he's in Turkey and we're not.
Aye.
He just wanted that known, didn't
What's
he?
he getting done?
Well, I'll tell you when I see him. Might be a new Barnett. Might be a new set of Ashers. Who knows? We'll see.
Could be. But thank you very much for your support. buymeacoffee.com/Toad Fox podcast. For those watching on YouTube, providing our works this week, I've got a while wait last week. What is this green Telewest broadband number you have brought with you?
I mean, I know exactly the season it's from. Can you take a guess what season it's for? I was a couple out when I just guessed it myself.
I was involved in coaching the community at United at this point, so I'm going to hasten a guess. We are around 02, 03, 04 time.
02, 03.
Around
02, 03. And the name that jumps in my head when I see it, rather amusingly, because I'm sure he hates the colour green.
Charlie Miller.
It's Charlie Miller,
100%.
Yeah.
So we played we coached in the community, but we also played, they used to hail it a community cup. So you went down to Gar's Cube or something. It's like a place, it's to beside Partick, I think. And it's loads of playing fields, and all the community teams would sort of play there. And this was the strip that we wore. These are the strips we got. And I have got in, and I was saying to Paul before he came, I've got a couple of strips hiding in the loft somewhere I'm going to dig out. Don't know if this one will be there, but I had it and I was number 8 on my back.
Yeah.
It's hard to, you're number 8, but when you're sat on the bench,
I didn't mind it, to be honest.
It's another cheapo though. Look,
oh, it's definitely
it's
a cheapo.
screen printed and whatever.
The one thing I'll say, like when I brought it into Rondo's house today, I was like, Rondo, this is a double XL. And it is a very, very big jersey, whereas these days, double XL is a bit snug, shall we say.
I'm not getting that pulled down over my left tit
No, I mean,
at the moment.
That was when I reckon the boy Eskison would love a shot at it. He'd just run about the Fairmere Park knocking the bar about on his end with that one. He would look fantastic.
Thoughts on it? You like it though, don't you?
I didn't mind it. There's a lot of United fans that didn't like the green top. So,
well, I think, let's say, I think I might hate the home version of this in my loft. So I was hoping to go up this morning, but I just forgot to be.
It's too far away, is it?
No, I just
too far
forgot.
away.
I just forgot. Doug was going.
No, it's all right though. So that's for Sean McRae and Richie Rockefeller. They like this particular section of the podcast.
And if anybody's got like you think a random top, like we could arrange to collect and get it back to you just to hang it up one day.
Yeah.
But
I think Sean McRae would be the guy for that. He's got all the tops.
Aye.
Rockefeller's got all the tops and but he's got loads of different
just leather
teams.
Rubbing themselves with
Well,
them.
I don't know what they do.
Sniffing there.
That would be for them to speak about.
But it's all right.
Yes.
But Charlie Miller.
100%.
Is
100%.
Is the one for that. It's obviously been the break, but kind of loan report and all that. Is
There's
any
not much.
action?
There's not much. So Charlie Dewar at Alloa. It was league duty last Tuesday for Charlie as he headed the short distance to Fife to play Kelty Hearts. It would be a bra performance for Ur Charles on the night as he played the full match, helping his side to a clean sheet in their 2-0 win. And ever present at the heart of the Alloa defence, his side currently have the second best defensive record in the division. Top stuff for Charlie. Lewis Haldane at Cowdenbeath. It would be a rare start for Lewis on Saturday as Cowdenbeath were in action in the finest car match South Challenge Cup when Kennaway star Hearts paid a visit. It would prove to be a very good afternoon for the young man as he kept a clean sheet. His side won 3-0. He made a few good saves and saved a penalty. Lewis will be keeping his fingers crossed that he keeps his place between the sticks for this coming Tuesday's league fixture against Cumbernauld Colts. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for him too, Rondo. The academy team and the B team. I took myself down to Foundation Park on Friday for my football fix as it was a young under-17 United side. And when I say young, I thought they were about 12 years old when they run out that tunnel there, Rondo. Ridiculously young. But they were hosting the Sheep Botherers and I was not disappointed. If I'm honest, Rondo, it could have finished about 8-8, but ultimately it was the good guys in Tangerine and Black that ran out 5-2 winners. It was fiery, feisty, no quarter was asked and none was given. United had Miles Thompson to thank for his 4 goals, but for my money, it was Cohen Leaper who notched the other goal that was the star of the show. A fine night's entertainment for a Friday. On Saturday, a very young B team headed up to play Cove in the Diddy Cup, and it would once again be nothing but experience for them as they lost another match to their senior counterparts. It would finish 5-1 to Paul Hartley's men, with United's consolation being scored by none other than Cohen Leaper. The women's team. There was no game last week for the ladies, but this week as we are recording this, the ladies are back at Foundation Park where they will be hosting Boroughmuir. Easy win, Rondo. Easy win.
I'll take your word for it.
Calling it.
Right, time for this week's Tannadice Test. Wonder what accusations will come my way this week.
I don't think you cheated last week. No, I think we were good.
Unbelievable.
There was no cheating went on, as far as I'm aware.
Unbelievable. 5 rounds as always. We'll do a point per answer. I'll let you know if it's worth more as always. Round number 1, player profile. Born December 6th, 1977. 5'11" midfielder, signed on August 27th, 2004 by Ian McCall and went on to make 69 appearances, scoring 6 goals. Play along at home if you're enjoying the fun.
I'm thinking Grant Brebner. I'm not convinced Ian McCall signed him.
It's up to you.
I'll go Grant Brebner.
Grant Brebner?
6 goals rings a bell.
Scored a peach. One of them was an absolute...
Well, Grant Brebner did. Then I care if your man here did.
No, I'm saying Grant Brebner.
Yes,
He scored an absolute peach.
Yep.
We're not that... Nah.
Grant
Brebner?
Grant Brebner. I'll take it.
Correct.
I'll take it.
1 for 1.
Excellent.
Round number 2's higher or lower. Billy Dodds scored 10 penalties in his haul of 41 goals for United.
Mm-hmm.
Nicky Clark scored 43 goals. Is his penalties higher or lower than 10?
I think you've wheeled out this kind of stat before we Nicky Clark.
Should be listening then.
And so Dodge scored 10.
10 of his 41 goals were penalties.
Right, Nicky Clark scored 12, I'm going to say. So more, higher.
Correct.
How many did he score?
12.
We've done this before.
See? I just check your list then.
I'll take it.
Round number 3 this week is What's the Game? Can you tell me, as always, the opponent, the competition, and the season? Goal scorers then. Watson, Curran, Erskine.
Wow. Watson, Curran, Erskine.
Eskison, no.
Wow, that's a tricky one because Curran would have played against us, as would have Watson. And I mean, what Watson is it? Instantly, my mind goes to Keith.
All those players could have played for and against us.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely, I don't can. That would be.
So we're looking for opponent, competition, and season. Point for each.
That's a hard in the day, Rondo. That's difficult.
You've had 2 gimmies.
I don't think Erskine scored against us. So he must have scored for us. I'm going to say it was 3-1 United. I'm going to say it was a league game. And who the hell were we playing? At Inverness. Total stab in the dark. Miles off.
I didn't ask you for the score, but I'll give you a point for the score, right? So it's worth 4 points, this question, right? So
Right.
It was 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
I'll technically give you a point. So it was the league, but it was the championship. But it was the league, so you get a point.
Okay.
What year did you say it was?
Say a year. So that would be Craig Curran.
I just fucking gave you a big, massive skiffy.
But we're in the championship for about 100 years. Craig Curran would be 17-18. 17-18.
Okay, it was 18-19.
Of course it was.
It was United 3, Partick Thistle 1.
So Erskine did score against us.
Yes, he did.
Fantastic.
Paul Watson double, Craig Curran.
Paul Watson. Christ, I wasn't even thinking of him.
Keith Watson scored for round.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
When we were relegated, where he left.
Christ almighty.
15 years
Who
before
knows? Who knows? That was tricky.
I think you got 2 points there, did you?
Well,
So,
I'll take it.
so
I'll take it, Rondo.
4 for 6.
Hey ho.
Also played for, I know this is one of your favourite bits,
Hate this.
Bradford City, Burton Albion, Mansfield Town, Motherwell, Northampton Town, Stoke City. Who could it be?
No idea. No idea. Bradford, Burton, Stoke, Mansfield, Northampton.
Yep.
And United.
Yep.
Is this in your opinion? And again, your opinion's a bit skewed sometimes. But is this an easy one?
Yeah. I think you hear some of the clubs and you go to a couple of players, but one of them is, if you know their career.
If you know, you know.
If you know their career, one of them really stands out.
Yeah, I didn't know their career, obviously. I'm thinking somebody random like Louis Moult, but I didn't think that he played for
half of the teams.
Nah, I don't think he did. Probably, or any of them. He played for us. That's the only link. I don't can. I've got no answer.
Okay. Bradford, Burton, Mansfield, Northampton, Stoke, Motherwell.
Yeah, it's no Callum Butcher.
Louis Moult.
It's a Louis Moult.
Started at Stoke. Yeah, so he won't.
So that's only a portion of the teams again then.
That's just what's on the Arab Archive.
Yeah, no, but he played for Wrexham. He
It's
played for
massive
Wrexham
gear
as well.
and Crew.
And I'll be honest, like, I didn't remember him playing for Stoke
He started
or Mansfield or Bradford. Fair dues. Well, that was
it was Motherwell and Stoke for me, because when I read it, I went
Stoke. No,
I started his career there, and only Kenneth Fay, obviously, looking into his career and
well,
stuff.
I mean, I was on the right path.
Hey,
Clearly.
I wasn't.
And then I never.
You weren't getting a gimme. I'll give you that.
I never put it in. I never
No, you didn't.
firmed up my answer.
Good. Round number 5, final one this week. Who am I? I was a late starter in professional football, joining Clydebank in 1994 at the age of 23. I was then with Dundee, Ayr United and Partick Thistle before I moved to Tannadice. I became a regular on the side. I collected a Scottish Cup runners-up medal in May 2005 before I joined Gretna in August of that year. Who am I?
James Grady.
Correct.
See, that's bittersweet, Rondo, because I'm happy I'm right, but I'm not happy that we're bringing up James Grady on this award-winning podcast. That kind of upsets me a bit.
I think you done all right there, though, to be fair.
I did.
I think you done all
Like,
right.
self-praise is nae praise, but I did. I done all right.
Well, you'd be glad to know Tannadice Test will be back next week.
Fantastic.
Right, special guest time. We're back on Zoom last week, this time to Dublin. So our guest this week came through the academy, went on to make 39 appearances for United, scored a peach on his debut as well. His family and friends know him as Archie, but here at the Dode Fox podcast, he's effectively known as Young Erch. Our guest this week is none other than Archie Alexander Meekison. How are you,
I
Archie?
chucked the middle name in there as well. Middle name in there and everything. You came prepared. Everything.
Wow.
Thanks for having me on.
No pleasure.
It's brilliant to speak to you, Young Erch, as we effectively know you. Like we ask all our guests, take us right back. What was life like growing up in Edinburgh for you?
Well, to be fair, I probably still claim I'm from Edinburgh because I was actually technically born in Edinburgh. But then I moved to Fife when I was 3 months old. So I've lived in Fife my whole life, to be honest with you. But I'll still claim that I was born in Edinburgh just to make me sound a bit fancier.
Whereabouts in Fife did you move to?
Place called Leaving.
Yeah.
Next to like Methil and close to East Fife Stadium.
Mhm.
Just around the corner, to be fair. So lovely spot next to the beach. So we stood over there a little bit out of the way of Dundee. But that's where I was, yeah.
Not too far away.
Not too far away, no.
What was your earliest footballing memory then?
Here I was. I mean, my dad and my brother were always into football, so I guess there was always that kind of looking up to them. I started a little kickers kind of thing in my local primary school. Me and my best mate at the time, we were sort of kicking about there. And then just sort of from there, like a couple coaches kind of came up to my dad and was like, "Here, you might have a little bit about him. Let's see if he actually wants to do some training." And then kind of got brought towards playing for the local team, a team called Kenway. So moved up to Kenway and started, playing at Kenway there, just enjoying myself for a bit, scoring goals and all that kind of stuff. And I think I was actually a striker when I was younger. If you ask most kids, they're probably a striker a year when they were younger because they were probably the best at their respective skills. But from there, God, yeah, it was pretty much just I got started at Kenway. Maybe was playing up an age group at that time, and then got scouted and picked up by a guy called Austin McPhee. He's now at Aston Villa. Yeah.
Good at throwing.
So he's very good at the set play stuff he does now. Up in he's away with Portugal as well now, as well as Aston Villa. So he picked me up, and I had like his kind of boys club called AM Soccer at the time. And he was just kind of starting that up, and he was doing sort of like pro youth experience kind of stuff where he was trying to replicate what it was like in a pro youth academy for lads who maybe weren't used to that. And then he started doing a bit of coaching at Dundee United, and that's when I hopped up when I was would have been 7, maybe 6 or 7. So very young at Dundee United. But that's kind of how I got myself in there.
Who would you have pretended to be in the playground or out playing with your pals? Like, who would have been sort of the players you'd have looked after or looked up to at that time?
Yeah. Back then, there was I had a lot of love for Ronaldinho. That was my kind of like watching him doing stuff that I've never seen before with the ball, and you know, when you're a kid, you're dead enthusiastic going out in the back garden and trying all these skills. You know, I would have been one of them little kids, little nerd, you know, going out there and doing all the skills and trying to learn everything that he was doing. Obviously not to the same quality, but Jesus, you know, if you're out in the playground, you try and replicate stuff like that. And I think probably little things like that, you probably don't realize that you're picking them up for the future. You know, they're little things that you maybe implement into your game later on. And obviously, looking up to somebody like Ronaldinho probably helps. But I'd say even now watching back, I'd say Ronaldinho's always been one of the ones I looked up to.
I think like there's going to be a generation that just forgets him.
It's so sad.
It's incredible because everything he done with a smile on his face as well.
Yeah, he was in. Nah, he was never involved in any politics or anything like that. He was just let me go out and enjoy myself.
Entertain.
I was more taken aback that Archie said there back then, as if he's like 40,
I know.
3 years
That's
ago.
awful. That's awful.
Back then it was Ronaldinho. Oh, right, okay. But anyway, I mean, he was a phenomenal player. But
who would be the other players that came through with you or around about your time from AM Soccer then? Because I think we know Big Louis Yabare. I think he was there.
Yeah. Louis Appel was there.
Any other boys?
Flynn Duffy was there as well.
Flynn
Duffy was there, yeah.
Yep.
From AM Soccer, there was a lad called Kieran Ingalls. He was through the academy with us as well.
Is he at Montrose still, or have I made that up?
Yeah. No, he's at Forfar.
Ah, okay.
Forfar. Yeah, he's at Forfar. I think maybe the lad Finn Robson was maybe in and about it as well. I can't really remember. But there was only maybe a few of us. Yeah.
You get picked up, or you go into United at 7. What is that like? Is that a couple of nights a week? Is it weekends? What's happening? Because again, you're saying you're 7 years old. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah. No, look, the session sort of started off as, I think it was a Tuesday and a Thursday, and then you'd play at the weekend, and it would be 7 sides, you know. So you know, I was still in primary school and leaving back in Fife, and I'd finished primary school, and my dad would take me up to training. Bless him, he was a big help with that. He would, you know, I'd be eating in the car on the way up, and then he'd maybe get a coffee on the way up or whatever and keep himself awake. I'd do my training, and then he'd take me back home, and then I'd probably fall asleep in the car and give him no attention either. So he was probably that for most of the time. But yeah, it was oh Jesus, back in, again, like I don't want to talk like I was ages ago, but Gussie Park back then. It'd probably been relayed maybe 3 times ago. It had been relayed, so it was like first time on AstroTurf sort of thing. And then it was more like there was more age groups training together. It wasn't like you know, under 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. You know, every single age group. It was maybe under 10s would all train together, and you might have a selection of lads who are 7 all the way to 10, and then you'd have the older lads, and then the lads who are close to first team from training from there.
And when do these sessions become like? No, I don't want to say enjoyable. It's the wrong word. But when does it start becoming like technical? When do they start talking tactics and formations and all that stuff?
That wouldn't be until 11-a-side.
So you can just go and enjoy yourself.
Literally, the as soon as I got in to Dundee United, all that we were doing, every single session was about the ball at your feet, learning coordination stuff, different skills, all this kind of stuff. And like, as you'll know, like obviously Dundee United is known for its great academy. Like most of the players who are coming through the academy are very good technically, and that's always the thing that you can rely on, especially lads who have been there for a while. And that was obviously implemented back in the days of Stevie Leahy was one of my first coaches. Ian Castro as well was one of the coaches back then. There was loads of coaches, I could go through them all. And most of the time until 11-a-side, it was more just, right, we're going to just do skill stuff here, maybe 1v1s and little fun stuff. And then obviously the serious stuff came sort of around 11-a-side.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose even at that age though, it's a lot for a young player that you're kicking a ball about and enjoying it, but you've still to show to get. I'm assuming you get invited back every year, or kids do get let go, which is horrible to think of at that age.
Yeah, and look, there was definitely a you would have your sort of annual meeting every year, and it would be a case of like, okay, like we're looking to continue to train with you, but you wouldn't really sign a contract as such until you were 10 years old. So you'd sort of just keep getting asked to come back until you were 10 years old. And I think, yeah, that was obviously depending on if you were doing well, if, and even then, like kids will get to that stage, it's a little bit more serious, a little bit more pressure on you because there was obviously a standard that they need to demand. And maybe kids didn't enjoy it enough to keep going on. So, kids will come and go throughout the age groups because they get scouted, obviously, from very young. So the squad will kind of get filtered all the way through. But yeah, no, I think it was maybe 10 or something like that. I signed a so-called contract where I couldn't go to any other academies at the time.
Mm-hmm. So were you able to train with other academies like prior to the age of 10 then, or was it just exclusively United that you were with?
Yeah, so I think at the start I was still training with AM Soccer as well as Dundee United.
Okay.
Mainly I was with Dundee United because the lad I was talking about, Austin McPhee, he would come and do training at Dundee United. So most of the time I was through there. And then like from then on I was pretty much just United all the way through.
Mm-hmm. And when does that next step, because you obviously go to the performance school, St John's, do you?
Yeah.
Can you take us through from sort of 10 up to when that happens?
Yeah, so you sort of sign your first deal, and a deal as such, what I'm talking about. It's very basic. It's literally just right, you're not going anywhere. And then from there, I remember when we first heard about the performance schools, because they'd only been sort of created for maybe 2 years before I started. And so they started up like a sort of a scouting process for it. And that was called 2020. And it was basically like they would look at your games and 7-a-side or whatever it was. And then they would you would get selected to go to a regional performance bit. So obviously I was in the Dundee one, and then you had Edinburgh. There was probably a couple in Glasgow. I think there was one in Fife, actually. I think there was one in Fife. And then you'd kind of go from there. You'd go to trials, and then you would get picked from the trials. And then you would find out if you got accepted or not into the performance school, and then it was up to you whether you wanted to do it or not. So we used to do training down at the Disc.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go down to the AstroTurf there, and you'd sort of wear your Scotland gear, feeling like really good about yourself. And there would have been maybe 150 kids there. There would have been quite a bit, and that got cut down to, I think there was maybe 14 in our age group in the SFA. So, and again, most of it was probably made up of Dundee lads, Dundee United lads. There was a St Johnstone lad, I remember, and then a couple boys clubs, lads who were maybe outperforming their boys clubs. So,
and when you eventually you go through that process, you get selected, you start life at St John's. What is a day at school like for someone that is in the performance school?
Like my days were I was very, very fortunate. But what I will say is that so obviously living in Fife, initially I was one of the only lads in Fife, so I had to get a couple buses up to training. So, it's up to school, sorry. So I'd get my dad or my mum would take me in to Cooper from where I stayed in Leaving. So it was maybe I was waking up at maybe, I think it was 6:30, leaving by 7, getting to the bus stop at 7:30. I'd get the bus from Cooper to Dundee, and then I would get, I think it was the 1A or the 1B at the time, and up to St John's.
Yep. Right to the door.
Right to the door. And then, so we used to arrive, I think school used to start at 8:40, and we used to be in for like about maybe half an hour before that, and we'd be able to go in, practice a couple bit of skills, or do some gym work, or whatever it was. You could come in and do early and sort of do your own stuff. Football wise, we had a sort of a gym there, an indoor hall, outdoor hall, and there we had a table and we would practice loads of different skills. And you could go down in the morning and do your skills, and then you would write it down on the table. You'd sort of have a competition between people in your age group and all that kind of stuff. And then every day in the week, we would have either a double session or a single session of football. And so that would take up a double session of whatever subject. It was usually, we didn't miss out on English or we didn't miss out on maths. which were always the boring one. And then we would sort of have 2 days of training or 2 periods of training, and from there, that's where you would get your extra stuff in, and you would have to do your homework and your studying at lunchtime, which was obviously never nice. And then after that, you'd be 2 times a week or 3 times a week at that stage. You were then going to Dundee United training after, so you get the bus from the school down to Gussie Park. You'd probably do your homework in between then if you could be arsed, and then you'd be putting your United kit on, train, and then luckily enough, like some parents would come and pick you up and take you back home. So it was a long days for you when you were at that age. But again, you just loved football, and it took you through the day. It was enough.
And that's 4 years of that.
It was 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah. So
is there pressure when you're at school? Because like we spoke to Morgaro Gomez a couple of weeks ago, and he was in an academy down in Montpellier.
Yeah.
But there was pressure on him to perform at school as well, and ultimately he eventually got let go because his school grades weren't up to snuff. So and he was like, they'll not tell me that I'm not getting kept on because I'm really good at football. It doesn't matter if I'm hopeless at French, English, or whatever else he was studying. But they did. So was there any sort of pressure on you and your teammates at school to get grades that were worthy of being part of the team?
Yeah, look, we had a really good coach, and he was called Ian Jenkins, and his the relationship between the SFA program and the school of St John's, so the head teachers there, was very good, and we were really well looked after. I have to say, but I would say the emphasis on the good grades was more from a disciplinary issue in terms of making sure that you were creating a good work ethic, whether it was football or not. And you're still young enough where you're going to be learning a lot of life lessons, and everything you were being taught was for the future. I think the football side of it was sort of you were getting these 2 extra periods a day, so you have to really be showing improvement more than other people. So when we were going to the clubs and we were training with players who maybe weren't getting the opportunity that we were getting, we had to make sure that we were outperforming them ultimately.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I'll always say that it was the most enjoyable time of your life because you're a kid and you're in the academy and you think there's pressure, but there's not. But at the same time, your demanded standards, especially at Dundee United, from the get go. When you're that young, you're still demanded to do, more, everything that that they know you're capable of. And if you're slacking, whatever that may be, like you said, in schoolwork or in the football side of it, then you are just kind of pushed to the side. And it is that ruthless where you could just be told, like, nah, that's it. We don't need you anymore.
Favorite subjects at school?
Obviously all the physical stuff. I was the one where I'd get distracted easy. I'd be bad. So if I had a couple mates in my class for English, yeah, I'd be rough at that. But then I'd say I'd done higher human biology, and I had no friends in my class. So I was the nerd in the class. I was the one at the back corner that nobody spoke to, and I was sitting at a table by myself. And somehow I was just able to focus it and work on that. So I really enjoyed biology. A few things like I wish I took business. I wish I took this kind of stuff. And I think I sometimes was like, I'll just go and chuck on like home economics and like learn how to cook a little bit. But I wasn't a big one for school. Me, I was more like I enjoyed the social side. But I think when you have that football side to it, my parents were never massive on like, oh, you have to go and get a job or you have to go and get your grades first. Luckily, I did get decent grades, but they were all like, if you want to go play football, that's kind of all you thought about as a kid.
Who else would have been in the performance school with you at that time?
Right. So you would have had Logan Chalmers was a little bit older than me. He would have been there. Ross Graham would have been there. Kerr Smith, while they went away to Aston Villa, he was there. I think the lads obviously came through into the first. Yeah, Chrissy, Lewis Nielsen, Lynn Duffy, and Robson as well. My age group, we had lads like Nathan Cooney.
Yeah.
He looked older than he was.
Oh,
yeah. He was.
He was in his 30s.
He actually. he joined. I think he joined like third year. Like he never joined from the start.
As a 40-year-old man. Yeah, you walked in, you boys thought he was a teacher that day.
He was when he was younger. He was unbelievable. He was a very, very good player.
Mm.
Still keep in contact with some of them, to be fair. Like vaguely Miller Thompson,
Yeah,
Darren Watson. Thinking the lads now that I came to school with.
Lyle Cameron, did he come through that? I know he's not
Lyle
United,
Cameron.
but Lyle, yeah, he was.
Lyle Cameron and the lad Finlay Robertson as well, who plays for Dundee.
Yep.
He was there. So like look like lads who have obviously went on to do like still like really good careers.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at it, and for us it was important we say this, like we look at people we'd like to speak to on here, but we also look at journeys as well. And like we obviously spoke to Sheep, but he obviously just upped and left and headed for the bright lights of Southampton for a while. But and we spoke to older players who have come through the old academy, but the performance school when it came out, I remember like you read about it and you went, that really going to work? But quite clearly, with the names you rattle off, some don't make it to the highest level, but can still make careers out of it or have a right good go at it. I think you've got to look at even now, Owen Sturton and all these guys that are coming through at United. I know it's changed slightly, but it clearly has worked. It's took time, but it clearly works. You know, and you've been part of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even now to this day, they'll post the Scotland squads up on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and they'll have the little tag next to them where it'll say performance school, like he went to the performance school. And there's lads who are now in the first team or the under 21s, or lads. It's maybe not so much the 21s now because they've kind of phased the performance school out. But like exactly what you said. There's lads who have started really good careers from the performance school, and that extra bit of practice has probably done them a world of good.
Yes. Did you see when you were at performance school, Ross Graham being the Dundee United club captain?
Look, Ross is I've trained with Ross for, he joined when I was maybe 12 or 13. He's been there a while as well. And Ross has always had leadership attributes from his size or how he speaks or the way he conducts himself as a professional. I've always thought Ross Graham was always tops, and he's had a difficult start to his career. Like people obviously will remember, like he wasn't really breaking into the first team until he was a little bit older than usually some of the kids were, and he had a loan. He was loaned out a few times, and he went to Dunfermline, didn't have the best time on loan, and then he's came back in and he played his debut. It was against Celtic, wasn't it? Celtic at Celtic Park, and then ever since then, he took off in it. And if I'm honest, with all of the new signings that you have made this summer, obviously with you got a new head of recruitment in as well. Yeah. I think it was a great decision to make a homegrown player, been there around for, he's been in the first team for sort of 5 years, and he can definitely show them leadership qualities. And obviously he's a big miss. Obviously now he's injured and whatnot, and I hope he gets back soon. But I think when I looked at it, it wasn't one of those ones where I'm like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, good for him. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's rich coming for us, what I'm about to say, but have you seen the Man United fan who's no cutting his hair to get 5 wins in a row?
Guy, and he's got an afro as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure Roscoe at the minute is going for no getting a trim until he's back in the team. Because I seen him the other week and I thought,
we should do that.
I think you maybe need an Alice band. I think you're going that way.
He's no, I pulled him up when I seen him about that. He's like, well, my old man wouldn't let me wear an Alice band. I was like, your old man's raised you right, son.
So there you go.
Yeah. Now, I think just like I say, some of the names there are just, it's incredible. It shows that it clearly worked. And listen, it took a lot of investment for the SFA as well. Like, and they had to get results, and fair play that they have. What is your journey during the school time to get in that first sort of contract to go in at United as we would call it an S form back in the day, but to go in and get that first sort of youth contract in and leave school, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that was the kind of pressure stage was when you come out of fourth year, you're now 16, 17, and that's when you sort of move into full-time football. So you're kind of under the pressure of, after those 4 years, you have to go and sign a professional deal or you stay on at school. So in my fourth year at the school, you'll know, like I've always been quite a small lad. So through the academy, on that 4th year, they held me back a year in the academy. So that was a decision from Brian Grant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, look, we don't think you're a bad player at all. You're just not there ready physically. We think to go up to the under 17s at the time. So I would have stayed back with the under 16s. And it's probably the best decision that I could have made, because I went back, I played every week, had a really good season, was able to develop a bit further. It's like people develop at different rates. And I ended up signing my pro contract when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, we had new ownership come in. So that was when Tony Askar came in with obviously Mark Ogren, and we had a whole restructure of the academy. So at that time, I was getting really friendly with the under 18s coaches. At the time was we had like a setup where I'd obviously been held back a year and then moved into the under 18s at the time, no, under 17s at the time, and I was playing really well. I even got on the bench for the Ironbrew Cup, I think it was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We played St Johnstone at home, and we were 2-0 down, and Paul McMullen scored a hat trick.
Yeah,
and
1-3-2.
we beat them at home. Yeah, 1-3-2. Yeah.
And you were still at
So,
school, technically still at school.
I was still at school. Yeah, I was still at school, and I remember that after the session, the guys, our coach at the time, Rob, always came up to me and he was like, "So we're playing in the Ironbrew Cup tomorrow," and I was like, "All right, what's that?" Like, I'm not really paying attention to it. And he's like, "So you're going to be on the bench?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And he was like, "For the first team," and I was like, "Oh, right, okay." Like, I didn't know what to say. So I've gone over to my dad and I was like, "I'm on the bench for the first team tomorrow, I think." And he was like, "What?" Because at the time I think I was 16 maybe. But then like I had all this little period where I was like really kind of striving through the academy, and I was obviously getting involved in training with the first team a little bit. And then I broke my collarbone right at the time of when we had the new takeover. And so the new coaches at the time were Adam Ashkar, and he was obviously Tony's son, and he never got to see much of me, to be fair to him. So at the time, I'm coming back from an injury. All they know is that I was back in age group that year before. I've just been moved up. I'm injured, so I was a little bit like struggling to get back into the under 18s team. Like, will I get signed for a new deal? And thankfully, off the back of like Brian Grant, obviously trained with me and knew me for the years before that, he kind of vouched for me and said that, yeah, you at least deserves a year. So that was when I was 17. So I was a year older than everybody else, and signed that first sort of pro contract for a year.
Mm-hmm.
See, like, we mentioned that because I actually didn't put it in the order for you were on the bench still at school type thing. Did you win the Scottish Cup at St John's as well?
Yeah.
That's after that, isn't it? Like, you've been on the bench for United and...
So I was on the bench for United. That was maybe, that was probably like almost a year before I won the Scottish Cup and signed my pro year. But in the course of a week, so we had our school won the Scottish Cup with the school. That was unbelievable, because at the time when you were in the SFA, you couldn't play for the school team because obviously it was a bit unfair. Like, if you had a full team of lads who were already playing for pro clubs, exactly, it wouldn't be fair on the players who were just in school and wanted to play for the team. So in 5th year, when everybody left the performance school, and there was still lads who hadn't signed contracts till they were 17, we all went into the school team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think
it wasn't a fair one.
Unbelievable.
I think we maybe conceded one goal through the whole tournament and won every game.
Scored 100.
Where was the final played? Because it usually
Hampden, is it not?
Isn't it?
It's Hampden. I think
so.
Duhan Sue's son Keir, was Keir Murray in that team?
Yeah, Sue Murray. Yeah.
Keir Murray played in that team.
Sue was class as
well.
Yeah, there you go.
I have just found that team from against St Johnstone. Obviously, being the Challenge Cup, that was youngins.
Did Colin Henry's son score for that?
Callum Henry scored a double.
Yeah, I remember that.
Benji was in the goal.
Okay.
And it was Wardrop, Graham, Archie Thomas. He got injured after about 5 minutes. And the lesser spotted Matty Zata come on for him.
Matty Zata. Wow.
Luke Boland, Scott Allardyce, McMullen, Deco. He probably shot for every time he got the bar. Matty Smith, He's still out in Ireland, man.
He's currently recovering from a knee injury. Yeah, he's in Waterford.
Yeah.
So
That's right, yeah.
Logan Chalmers loves a step over, and well, the Hulk, Louis Perry. And on the bench, Josh Donaldson, Scott Reekey, Scott Banks, Nathan Cooney.
And a genuinely young Erch.
Yes,
Wow.
which is,
Yeah.
and again, we probably take the competition for granted, and we used to take the piss out of them a wee bit. But you look at that, the St Johnstone team, the Callum Henry's in it, Joe Shaughnessy's in it.
Hopeless.
And I can, but I'm just saying, Ali McCann was in it. He was a good player. He went down south. He had a good decent
He
game.
was all right.
Yeah.
But I just,
I was at that game. It was a midweek. The only stand that was open was the Jerry Kerr, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it was in that corner, up in the
That's
corner
right, yeah.
behind the.
Yep,
Yeah.
I was right above the tunnel that day, and almost calling for the manager's head when it was 2-0. It's like, what
Was
is going on
that?
there?
Was that Jabba? Was that Laszlo?
I think it
yes.
was. Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember he comes in, so obviously he was a bit of a. I mean, at that time, I never really knew the manager at all, really. And he's kind of walked in. I remember, like, once I got up to the first thing, kind of speaking to the lads about him, he's walked into the dressing room, and he's kind of went around and said, "Good luck," and like shook every single player's hand individually. And he's got turned to me, and I'm sitting at the door, like squeezed up against the door because I'm the new lads. They chucked me in the corner. He's going, "Who are you? Who are you?" Look at this, and I'm like, "I'm on the bench for." You're about to go out and stand, and you're going to turn around and look at me, and he's asking me who I am. I'm Archie Meekison. Yeah, so thanks, man. Cheers, Gaffer.
We haven't had loads of Shabba stories, right? So I've not spoken a lot for that time.
Yeah, Stevie
But
Lee
that-
had a couple.
Steaming Stevie Lee, he did, but that just sums up.
Yeah.
This sums up the whole time, doesn't it?
Who are you? Brilliant. I think it was at
Yeah.
that point you knew you weren't getting on that night then.
Yeah, literally. I was like, sound, I'll go get the balls or something like that. I'll be the ball boy for tonight.
So after you had your ringer time in the Scottish Cup final then for the school, do you then have the chat with the club? Is that when that awkward, nervy conversation happens and the next sort of
Yeah, ultimately,
happens?
I think it was the next week. So at the time, the Scottish Cup final was obviously in Hampden, and we had maybe, I think there was maybe 2 or 3 coaches from Dundee United who were there at the game watching that I never knew about. And we kind of got there, and luckily I think I scored a goal and got 2 assists, and they were like, well, that obviously helped when I went to go in to sign the deal, and they were like, so initially they walked in, you do like a meeting where they discuss if they're going to sign you or not, and then they'll do another one where you actually do sign the contract. You can bring family members and whatever and take photos and that. And they've said, like, look, we've not had really much of a chance to look at you. We've seen you in the game, obviously against Hampden, and obviously in training and whatnot, and we're happy with what we see. Probably a little bit on the verge, so we're only going to offer you a 1-year deal. And I think would have been 150 quid a week. But at that time, that was your first wage. You're like, oh, here we go. And that was me away. That was me assigned for a year, and it was awful because after you obviously get told, it was before a session, so we've all went down to the session after, and there's obviously lads who are now being told that they're training, and some lads who have been told that they aren't. And like it's then that's when you kind of have your first taste of the cutthroat atmosphere and then thing that is full-time football. And it's kind of a case of like, whoa, like that's tough here. Like, I'm sorry, but like, we got to go to work now. Like this is ultimately, you're now being paid. It's not a job. A job as such. We're lucky as ever to call that a job. But yeah, from there you sort of go, okay, right, this is it. This is where we're starting.
So what happens with you then? Do you move up to Dundee? Do you go into the digs? You go into digs that are carnage? Do you stay at home? What happens with you?
No, so we I was lucky enough that we trained in St Andrews. So at the time I'm staying in Fife. I was maybe 20 minutes away from St Andrews. So I would just stay at home, and I would just drive in. At the time I would drive into training every morning. So that was so handy having it there. And then on the occasion, like through the winter, we'd train at Gussie Park or what is now the RPC. We trained there over the winter, but yeah, no. From there, I was able to just stay at home and then just come into training at the time.
Yeah. You have any jobs when you started full time?
I had so that summer I'd signed before the summer, and the sort of time that we had off, the 6 weeks that we had off, I was a kitchen porter. So at the time, my brother was a kitchen porter as well in St Andrews at the old course.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of got me a job there, and I kind of hopped along for 6 weeks. And then during the summer, I got a call and said that I was going to be coming and training with the first team. So I had to leave that early and go into training early, which was really good to get. Before under-18s football, I was getting a taste of a little bit of first team training. So,
And what was that like, going into that for the first time?
that was the start of Robbie Nielsen coming in. So that was with him, Gordy Forrest, and Jig at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Lee McCulloch. So that was scary, because at that time, like, I know you all know now, like, kids are different nowadays. Back then, I wouldn't even speak or look at a first team member. So I'm going in and I'm like, yeah, whatever, like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want, kind of thing. And I think Robbie Nielsen I've always really appreciated the way that he had the club sectioned out, where the under-18s were coming in. You were coming in an hour earlier than the first team lads. You were washing their boots. You were doing jobs or whatever. They would come in. They would have everything set up for them. They would go and eat. Then you would go and eat. Then you would go and take equipment out to set up their session, set up your session, whatever. You'd have jobs throughout the day. Then after training, you'd speak to a first team member. They would, you'd become their sort of boot boy as such.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd make sure that the boots were clean and dry for the next day. And then you would do jobs after, and you'd be leaving by sort of 4:30, which nowadays is it's alien to obviously what I'm doing now. But again, like, teaching you with respect to the first team lads, you come up and you wouldn't be chirpy, you would just kind of get on with it, and it would obviously a good work ethic in the club. And I think that was a good balance to have the young lads know that when they were going up to the first team, it was a big step for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to perform, and you were nervous and all that kind of stuff. So no, that was the sort of first introduction into being full time.
Whose boots were you assigned to keep clean then?
So I think for the first year, I was Lawrence Shanklin and Dennis Mehmet at the time.
Right.
So I had two lads, and then we had the season
Dennis must
after
have
that.
says 15 feet or something.
Nah,
That must have been
yeah.
a nightmare.
Honestly, and he used to wear a new pair of boots every single time, sometimes 2 boots a session, and I'd be coming in, fitting my whole forearm in, scrubbing these things and making sure they were proper leather boots as well. I had as well, so I had to make sure they were on the radiator. Shanks wasn't too bad. And then you'd get a little reward at Christmas as well, if they were good to you, they'd give you a little bit of money or whatever. And then the second year, I had Luke Bolton, who was on loan from City. And then I think I'd done Dennis again that year. It was twice.
How does that get decided? Do you just get told, right, that's whose boots you're getting, or is there like a wee pretend draw, names on a hat, right, here we go?
It was one of the ones where, like, if you were one of the younger lads who was up training with the first team, you could kind of pick and choose. And you had to be smart with it. Like, Dennis had just came back from, was he maybe Turkey, or was he in, I think he was in somewhere else as well, where he'd earned a bit of money. And like, then you got Luke Bolton come from City, you were like, I want a good Christmas bonus, so I'll go and wash his boots. And then it would kind of just get filtered down where, like, first team lads would walk into the dressing room, they'd be like, lads, like, I'm needing my boots cleaned, like, who wants to clean them, and I'll give you a bonus at the end of the year. And then lads would be like, yeah, me. So
It's wild, that. I thought it'd just be a list. No, this boy's basically gambling and getting some of these bits.
He's knocking hell at each other round the back so that they get the clean Shanklin's bits.
That's it.
The thing is, I mean, we've said it a million down. We've went as far back as Dave Bowman to speak about jobs. He watched youth team to being in charge of youth teams, and the jobs are definitely something that they should do more of. And it doesn't need to be not a pen stadiums like they used to do back in the day, but boots, balls, equipment.
It's a discipline thing, and in some ways, and a respect thing as well. When Archie's talking about, like, looking up to the first team players, because ultimately that's what you're striving to be. You want to be a first team player yourself.
Yeah, no, totally. You probably do see a little bit less of that now. Mind you, Bo's still there, so I wouldn't imagine players, young lads, would be getting away with too much.
Fair stories.
But he, like, even like from my first experience with Bo, we were doing, at the time it was like the new lads who had just signed were training. We had an under-20s group at the time, And so he took care of the under-20s. And that was the first time where I'd maybe not known who he was at the time, but I'd heard of him. And I heard him, if you know what I mean. Like,
I
so
can
at the
imagine.
time we played an under-18s game against the Resis. And at the end of the game, he kind of came over to me. We're in a huddle, just like talking about it and that. And I've never spoke to him before. He comes up to me, I'm doing stretching underneath, and he just starts coming behind me, just starts like putting my back, like that, just kicking my back. And he's like, "All right." And I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And he was like, "You were all right today, aren't you?" And I was like, "Decent game and that." And he was like, "Yeah, good." Like kicking me the whole time, throwing balls at me or whatever. And you're like, "What's going on here?" Like, I don't really know if he's giving me a compliment or not. The Bo's, I think people always know Bo for his hard side and his his taking the piss or whatever he does, but he's always, always, always looked after the young lads. Always looked after them. He'll be the first person to vouch for you, speaking to the first team manager or whatever he was doing. He would always have your back. So I think that's probably why now you see players will go away from Dundee United and still speak about him. They'll still talk about him in such high remarks. So
Yeah, I mean we've heard plenty of stories, but it's the stories like he would spend time on the training pitch after training with like Kai Fodder on him. He would just run at him all the time and stuff like that. And the other things you probably don't appreciate, you didn't see. And then you get the stories of him just like manning mobile phones in the youth changing room and boys trying to take the piss out of him. And he's like, "I wrote the rule book here." Like, so
yeah, that's the thing. There was he would come in and he would walk in, but sometimes it was just because he felt like it. There wasn't like a day where it would be like on and off or whatever. He'd just come in, he'd be like on a random Tuesday or whatever, and he'd just be like, "Right, give me all your phones." Because he'd walk in and like the change room would be silent in the under-18s, and we'd all be on our phones or whatever, not speaking to each other. And he'd be like, "What's this about?" And he'd come in and he'd just take all your phones, and that was you for the day.
I can imagine you trying to explain Snapchat to him.
Here he's probably like, what even is that? He's got his flip phone on or whatever, or he listens to the radio or whatever. No. But he'd probably hide your phone at the end of the day. I remember once he'd give the gaffer some of the young lads' phones and put them in his drawer. So then you'd have to go up to the gaffer's office to ask for your phone back. And obviously you're a kid, you don't want to speak to the gaffer, do you? So you walk up, "All right, gaffer, why are we on your phone?" And you're like, the bonus game took off.
That's just the way it is, really. That obviously first season comes in, and for you, I suppose it's just keep your head down, do as well as you can. But you actually end up going on loan, don't you? You end up going to Cove that year. I know it's a bit later on in the season, but good for your development at the time. A surprise, a shock, or just desperate to play games?
I think before that, I was maybe on the bench once against Alloa. Was it once or twice maybe against Alloa? I can't remember what it was. And Robbie Nielsen at the time was saying like, "Look, you need to get on loan, you need to play games at this stage," and all that kind of stuff. So I think I would have been just maybe turned 17. And at that stage, I think this is a stigma around loans, especially when you're a young lad. You think the club's trying to ship you out, that you think you're like, get away from here, you're not good enough to play here, go and play games and kind of get over eyesight. And that's not the case at all. Like, you go away to develop and play first team football and learn how to play men's football as such. And when I went away to Cove, it was Paul Hartley who was there. And I was only maybe there for sort of 6 or 7 games maybe, and then COVID came about. So I was travelling up to basically Aberdeen and doing a bit of training there. I only needed to go out once a week, but he was good. Like, even that first introduction to a men's dressing room and being part of all that stuff, getting a bit of stick or whatever because you were a younger lad and learning a new team style of play and all that stuff. Like, really good lessons to be learned there.
That's interesting that you say that there's sometimes a stigma around young lads going on loan, because like as daft fans like myself and Ronnie, we're choking for certain players at United presently to get out on loan so that they can go and develop and they can play rather than sitting on the bench or worse, sitting in the stand watching the games. Like, I would have thought that the players would have been fully bought into that as well.
Yeah, it's I would say, like, in terms of it's probably just a bit of a like naivety when you're young. Like, you don't realise that like it probably looks better on your CV if you're maybe part of the bench or whatever in a Premier League team. Like, for the lads now, they're probably sitting on the bench and they're like, "Well, I'm on the bench for a Premier League team right now." Like, this is pretty good. And then they probably have a little bit of an ego where they don't want to go down to League Two or League One or lower and play games every week. But then you're learning a lot more. Like, you'll learn that, like, obviously as you get older through football, that games is the most important thing. Is playing games. Like, that's how you get noticed.
So you get better.
Exactly. It's exactly how you get better. And I think that's ultimately the most important thing. So,
Did you enjoy your taste of a Robbie Nielsen pre-season?
Like, I don't want to say it was one of the easier ones, but we had, at that stage, I was doing an under-18s pre-season, and then going and doing a first team pre-season as well. And when you're young, you had to be coming in and you had to be quicker and more fit than the first team lads. Like, that was just a given. So you maybe had, it's definitely in Ireland, but in summer, like, you had maybe 2 weeks off of nothing. You could do what you want, and then you started your runs up again. And we only got maybe a week off at the time, and then you were back in with the runs. And I remember the runs were, Jesus. I mean, Robbie Nielsen I remember he's very old fashioned with some of his running. Like, it was just basically like, stick the trainers on, tuck the balls, and we're just going to run around the track today. And you were a bit like, whoa.
Relentless.
But I was always quite happy with a pre-season. Like, I'd be confident enough that I'd be all right at that.
He had a Gaffer's Day as well, didn't he? Did he have a Gaffer's Day? Was it once a week, or every now and again he would just say Gaffer's Day, and that was it?
Yeah, basically he would all the sports scientists and whatnot. I was just kind of coming into it, and he'd chuck that all out the window, and he'd be like, right,
you boys
to be
take
fair
the day
to him,
off.
Yeah, literally. But to be fair to him and maybe not so much Gordy Forrest, but him and Jig especially, they would be in the gym. They would still be doing running and that. So if we were doing running, he would join in, and he'd be like, if I beat you, like, you're going to get punished, kind of thing. So he was proper old fashioned, to be fair, with some of the stuff. But I think that was also, like, players bought into that, like, where it was sometimes you come in pre-season, and if you're doing a bit of disguised running, you're like, just make us run, would you? Like, you'd rather just get the balls away and then do that, or you'd be purely ball work, But, like, as a manager and how they were with me, like, I've not really got a bad word to say about that management staff at all.
Yeah, we obviously, COVID stops the world turning, and we've heard from a few of your teammates then, Butcher, Reynolds, saying that even though it was COVID time and everything had stopped, you were still running, pretty on your own, pretty hard going, pretty grabbing us. And I think it was Mark Reynolds that said, you need to stop this. Like, we're running for nothing here. I mean, he thought you'd be back in a week, right enough. But then that was, like, just the way he was. He was like, we will be the fittest team regardless.
Yeah, completely. And that was the season where we had, like, Shanks and all that, where we got promoted from the championship that time. And, like, everyone will remember how many goals we scored and how far away we were from everybody else. But, like, we were the hardest running team at the time as well. Like, I say we, like, I wasn't part of the first team then, but, at that stage, and that would drip fed down to the under-18s. So it would be every morning we'd have a yoga session at 9 a.m. and then we'd do a yoga session with a bit of, like, core work in it. And then we'd go out, we'd have to complete our runs, and then you'd have sort of the rest of the day to yourself. So at the time, obviously COVID and that, you'd be yoga, straight out for a run, come back, have food or whatever, and then you'd be on Xbox for the rest of the day. I can't lie, we were you look back on it as a time where, like, you're like, oh, like, you had a bit of time off there where you were still doing a bit of decent fitness, but that was
as well.
Still at home. So at that stage, I was loving it then, to be honest with you.
It was a strange time.
It was, wasn't it?
And then, speaking of running, Robbie ran away, and then Mickey Mellon came in. Can you remember what you were thinking when you heard that news?
I remember it being a bit of a shock, because at that time we'd actually just started. We just came back and we were starting training as a team together after COVID. So we'd come in two separate groups. We'd go train at Dundee North End's pitch. I can't remember the park's name. but we'd go and train there. So you'd come in as there'd be a morning group and an afternoon group. And at the time, I went to go stay in the digs, and I think that was the one on Perth Road. And I think it was me and Kai Fotheringham, the ones that were up with the first team at the time. And we'd have to do the morning session and then also the afternoon session to make up for numbers. So we got that little extra bit of fitness in. And at that stage, it was Robbie still at the time. And sort of halfway through pre-season, it was just announced that he was going to Hearts. Was it Hearts he went to? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, went back to Hearts.
On a Sunday evening.
Sunday
Yes.
evening, yeah.
Yeah, we
Like it was-
just completed the recording of a podcast and had to redo
Yeah.
the whole lemon thing and call them other arseholes.
So
Correct quote.
it was I think even as a team and a squad, after you've won the league or had a really good season, like you're obviously a close knit, and there's maybe a few others who are brought in signings wise, and then it's kind of just like all out the window, and then it's like who's going to come in, like what's it going to be like, and Mickey was far different to Robbie. Mickey was he obviously came from English football, and it was very much, he was used to playing Tuesday, Saturday, or whatever it was, and he'd playing 2 times a week and big squads and the easy rotation. And in Scotland, it just wasn't that. It was once a week. Training was very structured, and we had a lot of new sports science coming and all that kind of stuff. And that was tough to get used to. I'd probably say, like at the start of the season, to get used to that. But no, again, like Mickey was always really good with me as well. I've not really got a bad word to say about him at all, and he obviously gave him a debut at the end of the season. So, I can't say anything bad about him.
So you were speaking about the loan system and that. Obviously, the opportunity comes up for you to go on loan, to go to Spartans. Do you remember much about the conversation about that happening and how sort of keen you were, or were you still naive thinking, oh, here we go, getting shipped out again?
I think at that stage, because I'd had a taste for what it was like before. Now this time, so the first time I was at Cove, that was at League 2, and this loan move was to the Lowland League. And so, like, before that, I'd never actually heard of the Lowland League. Like, I'd never really looked into it or anything like that. So Brian Grant at the time was like, look, like, this is a really good team. They'll play football there. Like, it'll suit you. And I think at the time I was just kind of like, I was training with the first team, but again, like, I wasn't getting in any squads. And I was like, okay, like, we'll go and try this out and give it a go. And within the first training session, I spoke to the manager there, Dougie Samuel, who I actually still keep in contact sometimes. With a few of the staff who's still at Spartans, because they were a wonderful run club and wonderful people that were there, and I really enjoyed my time with Spartans. That was what really kind of kicked me on into first team football from there.
How did you find it playing in the Lowland League? I mean, we always say it's about playing against boys that are, we need a win bonus to pay our mortgage here type thing. They're no scared to put the boot in.
And that was the thing, like you were entering a dressing room where like you say, like lads were playing for their wages here, and ultimately when they see a little skinny 17-year-old running about doing turns and all that stuff and running it behind them, they're just going to be smashing you. And there was probably a few times where like lads were probably like just like, nah, like we're having you today. But I remember I played striker in the Lowland League, and it was basically just a case of, right, Archie, you're either going to get the ball and you're going to do a couple of turns and run it, boys, or you were running them behind, because I was a little bit faster than obviously the players in that league. And if I'm honest, it probably worked really well because I scored a few goals. And look at that. Yeah, I came away from that like really enjoying, and maybe a bit of it brought light to maybe what a loan move could be like, of a successful loan where, I got called back in January. I think I was the second stage of COVID at that point. I got recalled in January. So look at it. I even look back at my time with Spartans and I really miss it.
Wasn't it too far from the house?
It was in Edinburgh, so it was only an extra 45-minute journey. So at the time
it was 16 games, 8 goals. Not a bad return. I mean,
yeah, we'll take it. I know, we'll take it.
How did you find playing during the whole COVID thing? We need you there.
That was weird, to be fair, because we had at that stage, I think people were starting to like come into games slightly.
Probably
And
at
then,
Spartans.
we had Spartans where there's no really, people were wearing their masks but standing right next to each other, like, coughing on each other, and that maybe people weren't too worried about it. Not as much health and safety there, but at that stage we still had like a couple hundred fans maybe at the time that were coming to games, so that was a little bit weird, like getting used to that. I think I only really noticed it when I sort of came into the first team at the end of the season there and started to notice like, the stadium's empty. You're hearing everything that everybody's saying, and that kind of stuff was a little bit different and weird.
Before we touch on those games, you come back in January. What happens in that conversation? Is it a case because you've done well, the club think, you know what, it's time for you to come back? And because you're obviously just enjoying football at that time.
Yeah, look, I think at the time, probably never wanted to leave Spartans. I probably wanted to stay for the rest of the season because I was starting to build a bit of momentum, score some goals, and really start to enjoy myself. And then it was a conversation between myself, Brian Grant, and at the time it would have been the assistant coach, Stevie Frail. And just kind of like, look, like, you're doing really well on loan, like you're picking up a bit of notice, and we probably want to have a closer look at you here. And I think there is obviously, like, I know we obviously talk about the value of going away and playing games, but like the value of being around the first team lads who are ultimately really good standard and learning from them every day and training to that intensity, like that still does a world of good. And so that's basically what happened. They were like, okay, we'll keep you here. And gradually from January towards the end of the season, I was just kind of ticking away and getting myself closer and closer as such. And we were lucky enough that we're probably in a stage where we didn't have anything to play for, and the manager was willing to obviously chuck me in then.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember about making your first team debut then, coming on down at Killie?
I remember not expecting it at all. Like, we had, at the time we played, it was a different team. Like, we had, I think Kerr Smith was playing, we had Mark Connolly playing, like, there was a few lads who maybe hadn't playing as many games. And on the bench was like Shanks, and I think Louis Appel was on the bench as well, maybe. Ian Harks was on the bench, maybe, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few lads, like first team lads, so I was like, right, well, I'm never getting in the head of them.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the first sub. I was the first sub that came on. So he's told me to go get warm. I'm like, right, okay. And then he's just, I think I was warming up for like 30 seconds and he's called me back over. I was like, right, okay, this is happening. We were 3-0 down at the time, or 4-0 down at the time.
Yeah.
3.
And I was like, he was like to me, look, just go on and get on the ball. Like, just do what you want. And came on, done really well. I really enjoyed my time at Killie. I thought I played really well when I came on. And from then on, like, I was just, I was buzzing, like, coming away from that. I know we'd lost 3-0, but I was in a situation where I came away, I was getting compliments from people and that, and that was really cool to make my debut there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was quite the bench. Edwards, Reynolds, Butcher, Meekison, Clark, McNulty, Shankland.
There you go. Like,
You're
never bringing me on there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that was a proper reward and feeling after being in the academy a while and like finally, not necessarily completing the journey, but like, you finally feel like you've broke through and you're actually getting rewarded for it now. So,
and I think it's quite nice what if Mickey Mellon says that. I mean, I know we're 3-0 down, like that.
Yeah.
It's done, but there's no pressure on the young lad coming on to get on the ball.
Yeah,
None. Like,
just do what you can.
100%. The flip side of you actually coming back and playing in that game is you actually couldn't go to play a Pataudry in the cup, could you? You were cup tied.
Nah. Yeah, I was cup tied because
that day that you broke the law.
Away, yeah.
The day you were there when there was flares of the fucking law.
Oh, that no, I mean, you can. I was there. There was a lot of smoke. It could have been anybody that looked like me that day.
But that might have been a bit of a sweetener for you there, because that was a massive occasion for that, and it's made your debut and everything. And it was, I mean, that was incredible.
That was a good day. But then the next game, you got your first start.
That was it. That was first start at Tannadice. That was, so at the time, I wasn't actually supposed to be starting. We had a player called Florent Hottie.
Yep.
And he had picked up an injury in training the day before. And so he came in and done a fitness test before. So what we used to do in COVID was you'd have the starting lads in the first team dressing room, and in the away dressing room, you'd have the lads who were on the bench because they had to separate people in rooms and whatnot. And then the away team were down in the Heggie. So I walked into the away dressing room initially, and then the manager just kind of popped his head in. He's like, Archie, come here. And then he was like, look, Flo's not fit to play today, so you're going to start. And I was like, right, okay, wow, like kind of coming in not really expecting to start, and then coming in and being told you were there. That was a nervy feeling from there. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. And then sort of came into the dressing room, and Mark Connolly at the time, who was always brilliant with me, especially when I was training with him, he was always brilliant with me. He was like giving me like loads of confidence, like, oh, buzzing, you're playing, like fucking like brilliant, like you'll go and run it out there today and all that kind of stuff, and just probably like calming the nerves more than anything else. And then like heading out for the warm up and that, and I remember like shitting myself, even though there was like nobody really there. Like the empty stadium suddenly seems a bit bigger and all that kind of stuff. Pitch seems a bit longer, and your legs start to feel a bit more tired and all that kind of stuff. And then once you're out there and you're playing, you're enjoying yourself, you're in the game. You don't really focus on that kind of stuff.
It's interesting though, because Mark Connolly's just spending his time kicking you now when he plays against you, right enough.
He was telling like he was going to have good games. He spent a week chasing him about the training pitch. Was it bittersweet in any way that you got told that you're making your debut? And I dare say that you wouldn't have had any family or friends there to watch it because like it was closed doors.
Yeah, look, I think one of my like when I look back at like obviously being a Dundee United, I was gutted that I wasn't able to score in front of fans. Like that was annoying for me, like looking back. And obviously family members, of course. But they were still watching, so we had stuff on the TV. But I think at the time it was only maybe coaches and journalists and that kind of stuff at the time. And, there you go.
Moment.
Like that was some moment. I think you probably go into those games like not really even thinking about that. You're just thinking about like, right, keep the ball here. Let's like just keep it easy and that kind of stuff. And then I remember going in and running off into the corner and running past everybody. Shanks was like trying to high five me, and I was running to the corner.
I mean, it was rare because obviously you didn't score many for United, and Logan Chalmers passed the bar. That was quite rare as well because he didn't often pass the bar. But when that goal happened, I remember. Obviously, it must have been hundreds of episodes ago now, but that was my highlight of the season. Seeing your reaction to that goal, because that season, as a fan, it was just rubbish. Like you would never. There's seasons when you think back and you're like, oh, I would like to relive that season because that was class. That doesn't make the list. Like it was just rubbish because of the way the world was. But seeing your reaction to that goal at that time, that was the highlight of that season for me.
I think because for some players and strikers, like they're used to scoring goals, so even during that, the kind of celebrations got a bit more muted. But to see that and
Your
what
joy.
it means, and I watched about the day, and even I think you could hear him getting it ahead, like, and that's just part of it. But you just think that's it. I mean, you are living our dream here, and that's ultimately it. But again, when you look at that, the team that day, I mean, you should have been scoring the third goal. Let's be honest.
Shanks has the pen as well, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. But I don't know if the game fits it. You'll be better to tell, but does that game, or does you being in the team where Peter Pollock beside you happen because of the insurance policy behind you and John Doe, who I mean, boy, he was a machine, but you could just go and play your game. You didn't need to worry about helping him. He doesn't need any help.
Nah, I think, Jesus, when you look back at players that you played with, and I was only maybe trained with John Doe for a season, but like, you noticed it was one of those players is like, if you were in 5-a-sides and you didn't have Jean on your team, you were losing. You were losing.
Because he was like 3 players.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd be in a position where you're like, all right, do you know what? I'm going to bump him off here and I'm going to run into the corner and get the ball off the goalkeeper. And then all of a sudden you turn around and he's right in your face again. He'd run everywhere. He was physical. He was good on the ball. He was skillful. And everything that you've spoken about there, having him behind you, but even Pete Pollock, like, if I talk about like one of the most technical players I've seen and one of the better players that I've obviously been a part of in my career so far, he's up there. Jesus, what a player he is.
Yeah.
Like I can't complain with like all the first team lads that I was in around. They were really, really supportive and helpful when I came in, and I think that gave me a bit of confidence, coming into the game and just kind of going, I'm just going to do what I want here, and ultimately, but still play the manager's game plan. He was very much so. Getting it long first and kind of playing off second balls and putting teams under pressure that way. So,
Class, man, what a moment! Like, but as was par for the course for United, another manager's change. Mickey Mellon goes. Tam Coates comes in. You obviously would have known him coming through the academy. Does that then make you go, I could get a real chance here?
Yeah, like there was. He'd maybe only came in the season before in the academy. So you'd seen him in and around the under-18s lads, and I remember at the time that obviously come off the back of a good end to the season, like really looking forward to the season, and obviously seeing him being the manager. You do as a young lad, you're like, right, we could have a chance here, and ultimately we did under Tam Courts, and you have to put your hands up and go like, wow, like the amount of different academy players that he played whilst also playing first team lads. And I know that was a weird season. The table was weird. Everybody was on low points, and but that doesn't matter because we still got fourth place. And I think ultimately, if you look at what we achieved that season with the squad that we were playing as well, and the type of football that we were playing, that was one of like the highlights for me. Like coming out away from that season, knowing that I'd had a little bit of contribution towards that season,
What was his pre-seasons like for you?
I remember him being maybe a little bit easier than previous ones. He was more like technical on the ball, that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, we were still running, like we were still really doing runs. But I think I remember it. I don't remember it being as tough as other ones. Like he's probably he might, if he listens to that, then he's probably going to be a little bit annoyed. But I can't remember, to be honest with you. I think it wasn't. He was more technical. He was more on the ball and creating relationships. Obviously, he's probably coming into a scenario where he has to kind of gain the first team players' trust, because they're not horrible people, but they'll maybe be like, we've got an under-18s coach coming in here. He's not proving himself too much. First in football, he was at Kelly Hearts before, done really well with them. But I tell you what, he came in and he was very, very passionate, very, very enthusiastic. He'd get you up for a football game. And I think you also seen that through the season, like it worked.
Loved the buzzword.
Loved a buzzword.
His vocabulary was extensive, to say the least.
It wasn't a half.
He was crystallised in his approach.
Yeah, he was. But again, like there was probably a coach who was like very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
Who like knew the ins and outs of the game, and there was maybe a few sayings where he'd come up with, and you'd be like, "Whoa, what did you mean by that?" Sorry.
The group chat's getting this later on.
Yeah, there's probably a few then, but he probably knew that himself,
Yeah. Well, it was the thing. I mean, he was the iPad manager.
But then when we spoke to Sheep, he said that wasn't like an accurate depiction of him. Like he said he wasn't just cutting about with an iPad telling people what to do and looking at the screen. It wasn't.
Not at all.
It was nothing like that. No.
Yeah, but he had a lot. He was very on information and stats and all that, which again, it's the way
it's going, isn't it?
Evolved. I mean,
it's the way it's going.
We'll get to some of the buzzwords later on. That's for sure. What was the step up like going from like you? I think you mentioned it, like being in the youth changing room to getting in the first team dressing room. What's that like?
That was weird, to be fair. There was, I think the only other lads before that would have been Deco and Logan Chalmers, who kind of broke in from there.
Confident duo.
Yeah, like they were probably the two that you would kind of select from the academy that had been in first team for a while. My first season in the first team dressing room was first season under Jim Goodwin. That sort of season where not when he came in at the end of the season, but that next season, the first season, the champ. So that was my kind of first, and last season in that dressing room. But that was good.
Even in the Tam Courts and like Jack Ross and that, you weren't. No, it surprises me.
Yeah. I wasn't in there. It probably wasn't many, to be honest with you. Like under Jim Goodwin, when we had that, there was maybe like 4 or 5 of us who moved up into the first team dressing room.
Yeah.
It was me, Ross Graham, Chrissy, Rory McLeod, maybe a few others that I can't remember. Miller Thompson at the time moved in as well, I think at some point. So,
we can pick that up then. We'll get to that. Arbroath in the League Cup on as a sub. Ankle ligaments
gone. I remember that. This was obviously like in pre-season where you're going, right, this is where I kick on here, get a few games, so I impress the first team manager. And I remember it was right next to the sideline.
Yep, right in front
I've
of the
got
dugouts.
the ball, right in front of the dugouts, and I've like done a turn, and he's just came and scissored like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't want you to say who it was because I genuinely can't remember. I don't want you to bury the boy, but we buried him at the time.
Yeah.
Can I remember who it was? We'll speak about this after we've recorded, Rondo. But at the time, we were like, "Nah, that was a shite tackle. Like that shouldn't have happened."
Yeah.
And a bad bit of luck for yourself.
Bad bit of luck. Like, you obviously kick off the season, and I'd never experienced a sort of serious injury before.
Mm-hmm.
And that was ankle ligament straight away, and there was no surgery, so it took a little bit longer. And that was a kick in the teeth, because obviously you come in and, like we've spoken about, you think that this is going to be your season where you break into the first team and you have a proper good go at it, and you obviously have that setback right at the start of the season was really annoying. But I guess that was me and my first sort of learning curve into saying that's football, and you have to have a little bit of luck on your side as well. So
yeah.
How was actually dealing with the injury? Kind of, what was the recovery and all that like to get back to playing again?
Yeah, it was. I remember it being like, at the time, it's kind of like you have that kind of period where you have maybe 24 hours to 48 hours of moping around and going, like, this has happened. Like, it's going to take me months to get back in and all that kind of stuff.
Get the tea on.
Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. And then you kind of have a moment where you're like you go back into training, and the physios are like, right, this is your plan. This is how long you're going to be out. This is what we're going to do. And then it's like, in that stage, you have, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months at the time, where you have that stage, and now it's like, right, we're going to get you bigger in the gym. We're going to get you more physical. You're going to come back like this. And then it's like, okay, as long as you have that end goal in sight, you're then off to, and you're still around the first progression. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So once you're there, you're on course, and you'll be all right.
You didn't come back looking like Louis Yapre though, so you must have got a different exercise sheet for him.
Look, there was a moment where like, I've got back in, and like I remember when I'm coming in, like, I was only like 60 kg, like, and I'm obviously like naturally
we've had naturally bigger meals, Ron.
That's that.
You're just getting blown over by the wind. But like, you come back in, and trying to put on a little bit of weight at least is probably harder for somebody like me, and coming back to running and that kind of stuff. I found it really hard to keep my weight up. But like, there's other ways you can, strengthen in terms of like your core and using your body when you're playing football to, maximize your strength and all that kind of stuff. And those are all things that I had to try and pick up on and learn whilst I was being injured.
Peter Paul must have kept you company.
Yeah, at the time.
Devastating for him, eh? Devastating for him. Came back, played well, went out again. Come back, played well, out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, even he was unlucky because he had the Achilles injury, and
his whole career though he was unlucky, really.
Yeah, exactly. And he was never like, I never really. I was close with him when he was in training. Like, he was always really good to me, but he was always a professional, and I think that always makes it feel a little bit worse when you have players who are top professionals. They're in every morning doing their stuff, and they're stretching and their strength stuff and all that, and even then they're still unlucky with injuries.
Yeah.
And I think I always say to players or people who are maybe outside of football, like, people talk about knee injuries being the worst ones. I'd say Achilles for me is probably the worst. In terms of pain coming through the rehab, never actually feeling 100% again because you're always having that stiff ankle. I think having an Achilles injury is really, really tough to get to come back from. So I think that was him at the end of the sort of time. He was still trying to push through that ankle Achilles injury. So yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, shame for him. Well, you got back in December. You made some appearances. You ended the season well, playing the last 5 games. You started 4 of them. You must have been finishing the season thinking, I wish the season wasn't ending.
Yeah. Like, even like having that for sort of taste of consecutive games, like, again, like, that's a new step where you're like, okay, this is different. And maybe sometimes in the games, maybe not playing unbelievable, like not having the best game ever, and then still being picked the next week. That was a weird feeling and a very rewarding feeling of that. And I was gutted. I remember the last day we played Ross County.
You hit the post.
I don't, honestly. Like, we got top 4 secured, and I was sitting in the changing room, like, buzzing, but silent. Obviously, like, I was in my head at the time. I was overthinking everything and that kind of stuff. And I still look back, I'm fuming that I missed that, because that would have been, imagine that, like, you scored the goal and then we
I'd have been on the pitch, Archie, so it's just as well you didn't score that goal.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. But no, that was a brilliant end to the season, and ultimately, like that little taste of first team football properly, I think was massive for me.
Played some big games as well, starting against Rangers, Celtic.
Yeah, and we played decent against them. Like we had, even the Rangers game. I remember we were unlucky at the end of the season. We got a penalty. We conceded a pen, was it?
It was a shock.
Never.
Yeah,
Can't believe it.
I know.
The Celtic game's the one I missed. I was out of my work. That's when Levitt scores the screamer.
Oh, the 1-1.
Aye.
Yeah, that was a
Pete
good night.
Dillon,
That was a good night at time.
Yeah.
That was a good night.
Yeah.
Dylan, yeah. Wow. We had a lot of good quality that year.
And then Tam left.
Tam left again. Like, so this is what I'll say. Like, when I was there, like coming through the under-18s to when I left, there was probably like 7 or 8 managers.
Yep.
Like right from Jabba all the way through to Jim. I don't know how many it was, but it was Jabba, Robbie, Mickey, Ham, Jack Ross, and then Jim Goodwin. So yeah,
Liam Fox, Jim Goodwin, 7.
Liam Fox, Liam Fox, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's awful.
Yeah.
He was an outstanding candidate though, but we'll get to him. But again, Tam leaves. It's supporters. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Again, the group chat must have lit up.
Yeah, look, I think, if you were put in his shoes, he's had a good season and he's had an opportunity where he can go away to a European country and experience that side of football.
Makes sense.
So you're probably going in his sense, like, fair play. Go away and do that. I think for us, it was probably like, for the players who were coming into a pre-season again, having to learn a new style of play, a new formation, a new way, and it was just like this was like 3 years in a row now, and lads were starting to get a bit fed up, maybe getting a bit confused with all the different stuff that they'd been told to do, and that was when obviously Jack Ross came in. So
I always find, like, how do you build squads when certain managers play a certain way and want certain players?
You can't.
And then a new manager comes in and he goes, I don't fancy half of you.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Jack Ross comes in. Or do we even start with a car crash that is the 22-23 start of the season?
He came in a moon boot, did he not?
He came in a moon boot.
Pair of shorts and a giant scarf.
Massive scarf. And then, you came on as a sub away in Alkmaar and then started against Celtic at Tannadice.
What a game that was.
Yeah, put them in your CV.
Down below anyway. That was a confusing period, to be fair, for the whole team. But
yes,
obviously Jack Ross was an established manager coming into us at that time, and we were probably pretty excited because big name. I think he signed a 3-year contract. Like he was in for a while, and we were probably like, right, okay, that's a pretty good manager to bring in. And I don't know if we were in a situation where we had the start of the season. Like, even through pre-season, like, Jack Ross was always very good with me. And he spoke to me the most out of any manager that I've had in terms of, like, pulling me for conversations about where he sees me in team. And at the start of pre-season, he was like, look, like, you're going to be a squad player this year, probably in a bit of rotation. And we'll see how you get on in the first sort of 6 weeks or whatever. And then by sort of middle of pre-season, we went away to Spain. And he was like, look, I probably see you a little bit closer to that now. You're probably like one of the subs now, where you'd be in the 20-man squad for this year. I was like, brilliant. And then, like, a couple of weeks into the season, we also had the Alkmaar game and that. And then he was like, look, like, you're really close to starting. Like, you're really out there. I just think at that time, you obviously had Levitt in the position, and you had, really good players in the middle of the park. We brought on Sibs that year as well, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And you know what Sibs is like. Sibs is class. So. And then, brought on, I think it was at 6 now when I got asked to warm up, and then I came on the sideline, and the 7th goal goes in as I'm like tying my shorts, and he just kind of looks at me, and you can see his face is like, he's deteriorating. He's like, you ready? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So I've gone on and kind of just touched the ball as many times as I can. But obviously that was a rough moment ultimately as a Dundee United fan, and then obviously player as well. Like, you go away and you think this is the moment, you're 1-0 up, and that happens. So that was a big kick in the teeth.
Even though you never got on in the first leg, what was it like, even just like warming up on that night?
Yeah. Like the place was electric. I remember, like, I was like, I've never experienced an atmosphere at Tannadice like this before. And it was a feeling of, like, you've seen it before in other, like, smaller teams that will go and play away in Champions League games, and it will be like you win a throw-in and it was like, yeah, so everybody's buzzing about it. You get the place rocking off of a throw-in, which you're not usually used to. And like that kind of atmosphere where you feel like you can go and make any mistake you want, the fans would be on your side, And I think that's probably what obviously made that win so important. Going away to Alkmaar, that was my first kind of taste of European football. Going away, you train at the stadium the day before, take it all in. Like new stadium, biggest stadium you've probably seen apart from Celtic Park and Ibrox. It's new, it's different. And, like everybody was buzzing for the game. And then obviously we started the way we started, and it was a bit like, whoa.
The thing is, we actually started all right. We
started all right.
It wasn't until we conceded, and then we just couldn't stop conceding.
No,
it's just a bad night at the office after that. But yeah, it was a sickener. But then we come back. I think it's a couple of weeks later. We play Celtic, and you start that one as well. I mean, talk about the bad to worse. That was.
that was rough. Because
incredible.
At that stage, like we'd obviously recovered from the Alkmaar game, and then I got a text the night before the Celtic game from Liam Fox, who was obviously assistant manager at the time, and he was like, look, Arch, like you've done really well in pre-season, like you've worked your way towards this. You're going to start tomorrow against Celtic. I was like, right, okay, brilliant. Like I'm really excited for this. And then we did. Again, we started really well. I thought we started the first 10 minutes, we were really good. We had a couple of chances in that. And then, look, the rest was history. And that's one of the games, like I'll look back in my career, like one of the rougher ones that I've been a part of. And like disappointing, obviously, like to come away from a game like that where it was just total embarrassment, total embarrassment and like unforgiving. And probably unfair on Jack as well. We probably discussed as a team, we probably felt we let him down and the fans down on that day, and that was probably the last kind of the sort of curve where Jack was like, right, these lads aren't going to play for me anymore, and he probably felt himself that he needed to leave, which was I was a bit disheartened from that. Yeah, that was a rough day.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a million times. As a fan, being in Alkmaar and being in the stadium, and they're not letting you leave. It's hard enough, but then watch the 9-0 and kind of can't leave was again even worse. But it just kind of summed up a ridiculous start to the season when clearly there was money spent on players and packaging wages and whatever. And you just thought, well, this can't be right. And then obviously, after the 7, we got 4 for Hearts, we got 3 for St Mirren, the Celtic game. And then as fate goes, you go to Livingston and beat them 2-1. But it was done by then. And, for you obviously, you're in and out sort of early days. And then you just sort of disappear out your way when Liam Fox comes in, and it takes to January to then go to Falkirk, and that doesn't quite work out either.
Yeah. The position that Liam Fox was brought into was really difficult. Like he came off the back of like being there with Tam Courts, and then also like being there under Jack Ross as well. And then obviously seeing the rough start and having to try and like a lot of his ideas were one of the main things why we done so well in that season where we got top 4. And he was a lot of the one who was doing a lot of the training and that kind of stuff. And he's probably came into a really, really difficult situation where the squad's in a bad place mentally. They're probably finding it quite hard to trust him and coming in, and we're in a situation where we've offloaded Jack Ross so early that we've had to just kind of bring in one of our own. And look, like Foxy as a guy and his training and all that stuff kind of goes, never got a bad word to say about him. I think at the time he was probably trying to pick up a few results and playing experienced lads to do that. Obviously I was chapping at the door, and we had a few conversations that were maybe like not the way that I would have wanted them to go, and that kind of stuff. And finally I was able to in January get myself out and spoke to Tony Asher about going out on loan, and he made that all kind of possible. And then tore my hamstring on my debut for Falkirk. So
15 minutes in or something.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I remember. I think so. It was my first game. I'd only trained 2 days before that, maybe. And so I came on as a sub at 60th minute or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've ran over, like tracking a guy to the sideline, right outside the dugout, was at Edinburgh City's ground, and I went over and I just felt my leg pop. And again, never felt anything like that before in my life. Like never been accustomed to a bad injury like that before. And I obviously found out that it was they have grading terms, and that was a 4C hamstring tear, and that was surgery, and that was bad. So.
And how different is that recovery process? I'm given the hamstring, even walking can't be that nice initially.
Nah. Well, funnily enough, it was the tendon that I tore, so it wasn't actually the muscle. So the tendon, you actually can walk about. You can walk about. This was before surgery. I had maybe a week to 10 days before surgery, where I was walking about. I could do strength tests, and I would still be okay. But then any time I would like activate where a tendon would be there, my leg would just buckle. And so again, like I think Falkirk actually ended up paying for the surgery. Like they offered them the United to pay for the surgery. So I ended up going down to London and staying overnight and having surgery down there. And I couldn't fly because the stitches would pop out. So my dad had to drive me up and down from London. Yeah, so it was a long journey from there, but that was tough. Yeah.
Nightmare.
Hope he's been well weighed in.
Yeah.
At least bare minimum petrol money on.
Yeah, I know.
No, obviously you wouldn't have been on the pitch for the remainder of that season, but what was it like being around the club when ultimately the relegation was confirmed?
Yeah, it was tough. Like it was tough because, especially if you look at our dressing room that year, like the players that we had in the dressing room, the experience that we had, the big names as such. Yeah, like there was a moment where I remember we had, and I won't give too much away because obviously like some of this stuff is personal, but like Liam Fox was obviously announced that he was sacked.
That was after the county match.
After the county match, yeah, exactly. So we kind of came into the dressing room. We'd been told to come in maybe slightly later, so we kind of knew what was happening. We obviously found out a couple of days before it got published, and you kind of came into the dressing room, and then it's like all the experienced lads talking like here, and Foxy comes in, and quite an emotional farewell for him, which it wasn't nice to see, because ultimately, you know, it's people's jobs on the line here, and he's got a family to pay for and all that kind of stuff. And there was this conversation within the group where it was like, lads, we have to look at ourselves here. Like, look at what's just came in there, and he's obviously breaking down. And it's like, you know, we have to put this on ourselves here. And I think that was a lot of the case was these experienced players were having to put a lot on themselves, and we just probably had that lack of confidence in the games that were still going ahead. That, you know, we probably didn't really trust anything that was going on in the first team dressing room and on the pitch, and it ultimately we couldn't get a run going.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Jim Goodwin comes in.
Was that a surprise?
Again.
Given what had happened like 6 weeks previous.
Yeah. So he had a rough end to his time at Aberdeen.
Very rough.
But again, still, like he'd been at St Mirren and done, like, obviously he had a rough end to Aberdeen, but still had like a decent start and all that stuff, and relatively big name as a manager. So I think we were kind of just like, we had 3 managers that season, and it was a case of like, he came in, he didn't have a philosophy. It was just like, right, we're just going to try and scrape wins here. That's all we care about. It's going to go up to Stephen Fletcher, and we're going to play off of him, and we're just going to try and scrape together wins. And you'd have to say towards the end of the season, we kind of improved a bit, I thought. Like,
just before the
split.
We gave ourselves a massive chance, 3 wins.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, 5 games to go, and you didn't pick a point up. That's
yeah, that was tough. And then just even being part of it, like, you could just, this dressing room started to get quieter and quieter, and it was a horrible time to be a part of. As you guys will know, as a fan base as well, as like, it's the same in the dressing room, if not worse. You know, it's a poisonous kind of feeling, and coming to the end of a, you know, especially when everybody would look at themselves in the group and be like, we have a strong group of players here, and something's just completely gone wrong. And I think it was a real summer of self-reflection after a season like that, where we know that we had to have a good season next season and ultimately bounce back straight away.
And where would you have been in sort of a recovery process at that point? Would you have been sort of still coming back for injury and that during the sale time?
Yeah, well, I had at the time, I was still injured at the time towards the end of the season. I was a 4-month recovery process, and then in my 3rd month of recovery, I re-tore my hamstring again. Wasn't as bad as the first time, but it was I tore the muscle right next to the tendon where I'd had surgery. So we were nervous if I needed surgery or not. But that lasted another 6 weeks. So I only came back in sort of Jim Goodwin's pre-season. And that was kind of when he was able to sort of almost treat me as a new signing as such, because he'd never had a go at seeing me. So that's kind of where that came from.
How was that pre-season for you?
Look, I brought in, I thought I'd done really well in pre-season, and he started me against first game of the season against Spartans, and we got beat, and that was rough. That was a rough day again.
Yeah.
And then from there we then played.
Did you get any stick for the Spartan fans, given you'd been at Spartans for a bit?
I don't think I did, to be
I mean,
fair. I think it was one of those.
Bo was squaring up to him at half time, and I had
No,
Yeah,
I was a
like,
United fan.
that
Like,
was-
Bo was squaring up to.
That was that was a United fan he was on.
Wasn't that a great
That
start?
was, no, that wasn't a great start. I think obviously coming off the back of last season, we knew what the pressure was going to be like, and it was a new group of players. Like a load of players left after they got relegated. There was
Yeah.
our whole core of the team got left. Brought in Charlie Mulgrew at that time as well. Charlie Mulgrew had sort of brought himself back in, and he was sort of still keeping us going and all that stuff. And then all the players kind of left, you know. But we were a new group at the time, and it was, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
We had Falkirk the next time. Was it Falkirk next game?
No, it was Thistle.
No,
Thistle,
Partick Thistle
Peterhead,
at
and
home.
Partick
Thistle.
and Falkirk.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah,
Because I think
Partick Thistle.
one of the guys that we brought in, Ollie Denham, I think he
Yeah.
only played 2 games.
Yeah,
I think
thought
and it was the first 2 games that he played, and yeah, like I don't know anything about football other than like the team to support, and there's only one, and I thought he's going to struggle this season because the second game certainly. First game he looked a bit nervy. That can happen. The second game when he was up against Brian Graham, we were thinking he's going to be up against guys like Brian Graham all season here.
Yeah,
And then I think, like, I'll never know unless I get the chance to speak to him, but I think that's possibly prompted Jim Goodwin to think, right, okay, we need to go and sign somebody like a Declan Gallagher or somebody that's going to be up to this battle and up to the job for the rest of the season. So it might have been a blessing in disguise, the struggles of the first 2 games.
Yeah, I still keep in contact with Ollie. He plays in Sligo here in the league, so every time we play Sligo, I'll go over and I'll have a good chat with him. But yeah, like he had a rough start where he played his first game against Spartans against the lad Henderson. He was a big
Yes.
fella,
Handball.
you know,
Yep.
handful,
Goal-scoring
and
machine.
then goal scoring machine, exactly.
Mhm.
And then also we played Brian Graham the next week, as you said. Probably a nasty first 2 games to come into.
Yeah, I've got, and he's young. He was a young player.
Exactly, yeah. But at the same time, you have to be chucked into the deep end sometimes, and you have to kind of deal with it. And yeah, unfortunately, from there, he never really played again. So
I still remember the Sunday after the Spartans game. We weren't sat here, obviously, but
Yeah.
we were sat on that, and you were absolutely
violent.
raging.
That's
Oh, you
what
would be.
Bo was wanting to fight us the day before.
It was one of them because you remember it turning going,
Yeah.
we have to go to Arbroath in a few weeks. We were fucking pumped.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
surely no. And then
Yeah.
I remember actually going to Carlisle in the friendly, and we were really
Yeah.
good at Carlisle. We
Yeah.
were really
Yeah.
good. And you
Yeah.
thought, actually, because we lost 2 and then we beat Peterhead, we beat Falkirk, but
yeah.
Dingy Cup as we call it a lot. But
Mm.
the Carlisle, you went, well, it's Carlisle's an English team. You're even looking at your thing, and it was no bad. And then obviously we play Arbroath, and we were excellent that night.
Mm.
And as the team that's come down, you've got the target on your back every single week.
Yeah.
Every week.
100%.
Yeah, that was a big message that came from Jim Goodwin, especially that season. It was like, it's going to be us against the rest of the world, and it's just going to be, we're going to have, we lose, we're going to get laughed at. Everybody in the media doesn't want us to win. You know, we're going to have to go to difficult grounds where we've not played before, shite conditions, and we're going to have to come away with a win.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we hit the ground running quick.
Gayfield's a tricky place, isn't it?
Here, you go there, and that's one of the grounds as a footballer where you go, I just got to get through this today and kind of get yourself locked in when the final, the first whistle goes, you know.
And I was there in pre-season, and both keepers were still trying to kick the ball out, and wondering why it was bouncing back.
Yeah, that was this pre-season.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the conditions just ruined the game of football. Honestly,
every single time.
I know. It was a real stop-start 23-24 for you. You had loads of knocks, niggles, and then you were out to 2024 where it was a persistent knee complaint, what it was, but it was quite random, wasn't it? Like, there was nobody near you when it happened or anything like that.
No. So that I just started the game against Inverness Cali away, where we won 2-1. Scored a last minute goal. Who was it? Scored? I can't remember.
Was that Tony Watt in front of
Tony
it?
Watt?
Or was it Mockery?
Mockery. It was a Mockery, yeah.
Yeah, because we doing 10 men. We were doing it 10
Went
men.
down to 10 men, yeah. So came off the back of that, trained on the Monday or the Tuesday, and I've just kind of like flicked the ball around the corner, and my knees kind of pop, and it's like one of those ones where like your knees kind of sometimes click in training and that, and you didn't think too much, and then I tried to take a couple of steps after it, and my knees just buckled again, and I was like, oh, what was that? Just kind of falling over as it came over, and I'd torn the LCL ligament in my knee just as I'd kind of got going again, and that was just another.
You've no idea what that is, so you'll need to tell us.
You obviously heard of like the lateral summon ligament. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the outside one on your knee. So the one that you'd have on your outside. Not a very popular one to do, mind you. But luckily enough, it was only that ligament and not ACL or any of the heavy lifting ones. So, but again, that was still surgery. And well, no, it wasn't surgery. I'd done these kind of injections, and that was another 3-4 months out again. Just again, like through a period of all the way through academy and coming up through the under-18s, no injuries, playing every week, twice a week, to all of a sudden getting hit with a run of injuries. Well, that was tough. I'd say that was tough mentally for you to try and keep up the motivation to keep going again. You know, like that was tough when that knee injury came in.
How important is it for the people around you at that time? You know, not just when you're going into training and doing your rehab, but actually home life, to people around you to keep
spirits up.
Ultimately, like it's massive. Like going home and still having family members are always just like speaking positive about what's up next and everything that you've got coming on. You know, there's nothing that you can do about it. You know, there's nothing you can do like once you're injured. That's kind of what it is, and you just kind of have to deal with it. And having a family who were very supportive of me through that, and still like players around me and that, you know, they knew how unlucky it was. They knew what the game was like, and it was a situation where I just was unlucky. You know, I was just unlucky, and that's just sometimes how football is. You know, but no, like family very important.
You spent a decade at the club, and then obviously you left in 2024. So talk to us about the closing chapter of that and what the conversation was like with the manager when that time came.
Yeah, look, it was a situation where I'd not been playing enough football. I was in a situation where I wanted to be playing the next year. And ultimately it was a conversation with Jim Goodwin where it was a situation where, look, these are the amount of games I want to be playing next year. Understand I've been injured. And he was like, look, that's probably not going to happen for you this coming year. So we'll look to move you on and not sign a new deal. So like that was a big shock because like as a young lad who's been at United your whole career so far, like thinking of another team was like alien to you. And you know, it was a good 6 weeks of the window where I was trying to deciding whether I wanted to stay in Scotland, and you know, there was a few teams in Scotland that I could have signed for, and kind of deciding where to go and where my next sort of journey would be. And then that's kind of when Bohemians got in contact.
Who were the teams in Scotland? Because I'm pretty sure myself and Rondo, we thought Airdrie for a wee while, just because of the way they played that season. They were a very good football inside, and we thought Archie Meekison had fit nicely into that squad. Were they ever sniffing about you?
There was a conversation with Airdrie, but there was a situation again with game time. That was all I was worried about. And at the time, they had probably enough players in that position where they wanted to. They didn't need to sign me at the time, and then they sold somebody, and then Mockery ended up signing, which was brilliant because I thought that was a perfect move for him, and he's still there and doing really well. Dunfermline as well. I was having conversations with Dunfermline and James McPake at the time.
Can't sign for him.
Can't sign for him.
That kind of fell through. Kind of broke down in communications there. And then there's also Falkirk.
Falkirk.
Yeah, I mean, which makes sense given you were there for about 5 minutes, and they've got a surgery bill they're wanting paid back.
Yeah, exactly.
See, like, you have that conversation, and obviously you as a young player and a confident young man and everything, and you're going in, and the team are going up as well to the Premiership, and like it's really honest for you to say that to a manager that's obviously got the team up and whatever, and some say it's ballsy, but how much of a shock is it when you actually do walk out and you go, shit, that's me?
That's it. Yeah, it was an eye-opening kind of feeling where maybe, like, on the back of your mind, you were still 100% devoted to try and sign a new contract at Dundee United, and that was where you were going to stay for the rest of your career. Like, you don't. I've never thought about moving away from another team until it kind of happened. And then my agent kind of called me, and he was just like, "Look, the gaffer's going to call you in the next sort of 5 minutes or so. Just pick up and see what he has to say." And that was when we had that kind of conversation. And he was like, "Look, like we're not going to offer you a new contract next year. This is like the scenario that we're in." And I remember, like, after that, I was just like, "Yeah, okay, no worries, completely understand. Best luck for next season." And that was kind of it. And then you kind of just hang up the phone. I remember I was in my own house up at the time, so I'd moved up to Dundee at this time, and I had a golf membership at Downfield at the time, and I just like went, right, okay, whatever, dropping everything, left my phone at the house, and just went and played around the golf. And played around the golf, just kind of had a couple hours to myself around the golf course, and just kind of really letting it sit in. And that was difficult because I was in a situation where panicking, you're ultimately unemployed, and you're in a situation where you've never been in before, where you have to try and find a new club, and then it's loads of new politics that you're not used to, and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, like, you have no idea where you're going to be. I've just bought a new home in Dundee. I was settled, and all of a sudden, this is all changing. So, a scary moment to say the least.
Is there an appreciation that at least the manager's picked the phone up? It's not come through a secretary or a letter through the door. Like, he's phoned and been honest. I can imagine a lot of them didn't do that.
Yeah, like, I never really had a sour ending to the way that I left Dundee United. There was never I probably maybe like wasn't used to the whole system and how it all worked, so I was probably like naive to how the whole process kind of went. It was very abrupt. So me finding out about me leaving, but again, he picked up the phone, gave me his reasons, and I kind of obviously had my reasons of what I wanted for next season, and they obviously didn't align. And he ultimately, like you say, he picked up the phone, gave me a phone call, and spoke to me about this is what's going to happen, and that was maybe a little bit better to hear it from himself rather than from somebody else. So yeah, I guess that's something you can take away from it, that I do respect them for that.
Yeah. Before we actually started, I actually said to you, I was speaking to your dad the last day of the season.
Yeah.
All the players come in, you've got your medal on, and you just, I think I just had that feeling that night. I don't know what you knew at the time or whatever, but you just had that feeling that this should be a bit of a party atmosphere, but everyone knew there would be changes, and we probably didn't expect, because what then happened is on the Monday or the Tuesday, we recorded our last episode to preview, look back at the season, and like the day or two later, all the release lists come out, and it was like, holy shit! Yeah. Like, there are names on that we did not expect.
Yeah,
So it was such a weird occasion. Like, we'd won the league, you guys all had your medals, and you were just thinking. But again, there was probably doubts because some people didn't know and whatever else. But what is the last day like?
You
pack your stuff up and go. What happens?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a situation where, I mean, ever since I've been in with Dundee United, there's always been, most of the time, it's quite a big reshuffle of the squad. There's a lot of players going out, a lot of players coming in. New season, like, even when you look at this season, like, a lot of lads who came in, whole new starting 11 pretty much has came in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, at the end, you're kind of in a situation where you know what the script is. You kind of, as a player, you have the rough idea in the back of your mind of what's going to happen. And so, yeah, you kind of take your stuff out of the dressing room, and you don't kind of say anything to any players until it comes out as officially you have left. And then it's, a text in the group chat or whatever, saying like goodbye to the lads. And yeah, look, there was, I think for lads who had obviously been in and around the first team a long time that there were big names kind of being released as such. But again, that's the harsh reality of football, where it's not personal. It's not personal, and never is, never was, or never will be. Sorry, and it's a case of, this is the way we're going next season, and you're not part of our plans. It's not a case of you're shite now, we don't want to sign you. It's a case of, this is the way we want to play. And if you look at the way that we played, Dundee United played last year, I wouldn't have suited that type of football.
Yeah.
Like there was I wouldn't suit that type of football, and that's what Jim said to me as well in the conversation. So, and it's just, you learn that it's just the way football is, and you have to kind of ultimately look after yourself as well as the club have to look after themselves. So
yeah, it's a real kind of just finding out what it's like, because it just can't be easy. Like,
no, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's something that a lot of fans, like, we probably didn't appreciate. Like, we just, and even the ones that we do appreciate, we just assume, oh well, like, you'll go and get another team, but it's the uncertainty that you'll walk about with for a few weeks. That can't be easy.
Yeah, completely.
Before we get onto your move to Ireland, one thing that happened during your time for with United, you got 2 caps for Scotland under 21s, which must have been a pretty proud moment.
Yeah, that was kind of a really exciting period for me. That was sort of the end of the season where we just got top 4, and I was actually a day out from going on holiday to Greece with my with some friends and family and that kind of stuff. And I was getting ready to go, and it was the day before I was packing my bag to go away on holiday. I just went on a lovely shop. I'd spent a couple £100 on holiday stuff. I was ready to go, and I got a call from my agent, actually, and he was just saying, "I've just got a call from the under-21s manager. You've been cleared for fitness from the club, and you're going to be selected for the under-21 squad." And that was like, whoa! That was like, okay, international recognition, like, throughout the younger age groups as well. I'd never been in any of the younger squads, so this was my kind of first one, and I was I had to call off the holiday. So kind of bittersweet at that point, but I was obviously way more excited to go away with the 21s. So
yeah, well, you've got to say that. So in the summer, you signed for Bohemians, and how's life in Dublin? How was it treating you?
Again, like, moving away to a new city, it was a decision that was made in 24 hours, and I was told, like, can you be on the ferry and tomorrow morning? And we're like, I've got nothing packed. I have to pack everything I've got, chuck it in the car, in my dad's car, and we went over to Ireland. And probably first went over, and I picked up a small injury again, little injury on my hamstring, which was really annoying to get going over there. Didn't have the fastest start over there, and then it wasn't towards the end of the season where I actually started to play football. And I think when you're moving over there for the football, until you start playing football, you don't settle in properly. So it was probably a situation where I was maybe a little bit homesick, a little bit uncomfortable moving away. Still close with I'm in a house just now with 4 other lads, so I'm in digs over here now. And then it was a situation where I started playing, and I'm kind of settled in now this year. Really enjoyed my time this year, and look, I'm enjoying it over here. I love the city. It's a little bit more expensive than back home.
Just a bit.
But just a bit. Dublin's turned out to be really expensive, but it's actually a lovely city. And so I'm settled over here. Got a missus and that over here now. So I'm really kind of buying into it.
Excellent. Do you just name drop Sean Dillon when you go into the local bars and places, and just you'll get cut price discounts and whatever?
I don't know if he's got that much influence over here, but
he's not the king of Dublin.
That's
news to us.
I know. No, I don't know. I've never actually done that, to be fair. Maybe I'll speak to him about that first before I go about talking about random pubs and dropping his name in there. Well, there's a few mad stories out here.
What's the league like?
Like, the league going over is, I wouldn't say there's much difference to the Scottish League. I'd say the intensity is very, very high. The games, everybody can beat everybody. It's a league where I was probably a bit naive going over to the quality, if I'm honest. Probably going over, never really researched the league too much. But now, being over there, played in it, like, I understand, like, it's really good standard over here. And like, I've really enjoyed playing that type of football where there's teams are really willing to play like we play, like, really good football. We play tiki taka kind of stuff, and like you have to be fit as fuck, like as you do in the Scottish League. The Scottish League's very physical, but there's maybe not so much as you have the kind of league. There's a couple of big teams who are playing that you'll see them at the top half of the league all the time. It's not necessarily the same situation over here. So I found it really exciting to be a part of this league, and I'm enjoying it so far. So.
And there's a few ex-United players in the league as well.
There is, yeah. So there's, obviously, you spoke about Ollie Denham there. Matty Smith was there. Ali Coote.
Ali Coote, yeah.
Ali Coote, yeah.
Good player.
Very good player.
Connolly?
Mark Connolly.
Mark Connolly, of course. Mark
still
Connolly.
there.
Yeah.
The $1 million man.
That's it. And then there's obviously been lads like Danny Mullen who played at Dundee.
We didn't speak about him.
Liam Smith was with you?
Liam Smith came over with me, and so was Alex Grieve as well. He came over as well. So it was good to have a few familiar faces in for that first kind of year coming over in Bohemians. So,
Sheep was
part
of the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, and then he got his teeth knocked out, and then he left. What a man!
I remember him saying that before.
You mentioned sort of the league and that. So what's the situation right now? This episode will go out in a sort of week's time, but you did say it was international break.
Yeah.
What's the situation with the league? What you playing for?
We're now we're third in the league, a point behind second. So it's all to kind of play for. And in the Irish League, you win the league, you go straight into Champions League qualification. You lose that first. If you win that first game of Champions League qualification, then you go into the second round, and you then have 3 chances of getting into European competition. So you win the league, you win that first game, then you win the second game, you go into the Champions League. If you lose it, you go down to the Europa League. You win that game, you go into the Europa. If you don't, and you lose that, you go into the Conference League, and then you have a chance to get in the Conference. So you have 3 chances. If you win that first game, you have 3 chances to get into a European competition.
Wow. Is it only the league winners that get to Europe then?
No, it's not. It's the top 4. So you have second place, depending on who wins the domestic cup, who wins the FAI Cup. If first position wins the FAI Cup as well as the league, then the second team goes straight into Europa League qualification, and then third place, and then obviously if anybody in the top 4 win the league or win the cup, then it gets drip fed down to the 4th place. But if somebody outside the top 4 wins the cup, then it's only the top 3 that get Europe. But so we're fighting for Europe. Got a really good strong chance to get in Europe, and that's ultimately, we've got 4 games left trying to play for that. So
is it sort of summer football as well over there then?
Yeah. So our time off, the season runs from sort of January, February time to November the 1st, and then
how do you find that?
November. Different, very, very, very strange. We had you have an international break in the summer where you get a week off and you can kind of go and fly away to wherever you want. But then apart from that, it's a good 8 weeks you get off in the winter. So it's different, because back home you only get maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, and then you're back into it. Whereas over here you get a good 8 weeks.
So when will you go back then? Sort of January time?
January the 3rd is usually when you return.
So you get Christmas, New Year, all that stuff.
Yeah, all of that.
I'm assuming though, because this is the first year the full league's been full time as well, isn't it? So it's a bit of a, you've still got 8 weeks off, but with no really.
You don't.
Weeks off, have you?
Neither.
What you do? A couple of weeks, go on holiday kind of thing, and.
We'll see. Like most of the footballers will tell you, most of the stuff that we book is last minute. So I'll probably try and find somewhere where I can go away, maybe see the sun. And then it'll be, obviously I've been away from home for a while, so it'll be good to catch up with family members and kind of spend a lot of time with them over that Christmas period. And then ultimately I'll be coming back over here. Like as I said before, I've got a missus, so I've got to kind of look after her and come back over and still show face. So
does she like football?
She does now. Does now. So
Who's your big rivals? Who's Bohemians' big rivals over there?
So we're obviously a Dublin team, and
there's a few of them.
There's a few of them. So there's us, Shamrock Rovers, St Pat's, and Shelburne as well. So you have 3 Dublin derbies that you're playing against throughout the season. 4 times a season. So the atmosphere is very, very hostile. Very, very hostile.
Is there one in particular that's like the
it would be
one?
Like Rovers,
Shamrock.
so it would be Shamrock versus us would be the biggest game.
And how's the season going personally for you so far?
Yeah, look, the I probably would want to play more games than I have. Like it's just how it is. Recently I've been playing a bit more. But like being part of the squad and still featuring in most of the games is something that I've been happy with. And obviously being a part of our sort of success this season so far has been really encouraging. So long may that continue, and hopefully we end the season really strong. Hopefully with a European finish still.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Scored a winner the other week, didn't you?
Scored a winner the other week against Watford. Yeah, that was a big game for us because, like I said, like the league table changes crazy every single week, especially at this stage of the season. So we were lucky enough that everybody else in the league had drew 1-1, and we won that game 2-1. So that was a massive 3 points for us, and kind of trying to keep ourselves in the race and for that second place. So like we're really getting to the business end of the season here, and there's going to be every game's going to be cup final. So like really looking forward to it, and it's nervy but exciting times.
You got Tom Court's quote book there. Business end of the season.
He's a bit rubbed off.
Right, let's fire through some other questions that we couldn't fit in. What's been the best bit of advice you've had so far in football?
I remember I got it was my injury, and it was the knee injury. So that was the point where I felt like I'd actually kind of brought myself back into the team. And David Bowman, he came up to me after, I think it was the day after, where we'd find out, like, got the scan results and whatnot, find out what it was. And he was always just like, oh, let's move on. And he said, like, tomorrow is tomorrow. And, like, ultimately, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, tomorrow's tomorrow. You're going to get up tomorrow. Same thing's going to happen. And I was like, it's a good point. It's a good point. Like, what's the point of dwelling over it? Like, you're probably going to look back in 5 years' time and you're going to be like, like, you don't even think about that time anymore, and it becomes irrelevant. And especially in football, where it's such a game of extreme highs and extreme lows, trying to find the middle point of keeping your, not get too excited and also not get too low. Trying to keep your emotions in that sort of middle ground is a very important thing as a footballer, especially all the media and that goes around nowadays. So, like, Bo was brilliant to me, and I think any piece of advice that he gave me was very important.
Speaking of Bo, how was Davy Bowman in the dressing room after getting beat 7-2 away to Morton in the reserves?
Wow, what a game you've quoted there, by the way. Yeah, I remember that.
We do some research.
Yeah. So that was, obviously, you'll know, being at Morton's ground before, not the nicest ground to go to. You'd pick and choose your days with Bo and Grant at the time, with Brian Grant. Like, it would be a situation where you go, everyone keep their head down, don't make eye contact. And some days it was like, lads, I think we're a bit unlucky there. Like, we'll move on to the next week. And then you'd come into training the next day and he'd be on you. But after that game, I think we had after resi games, we used to get ordered Dominoes. So we used to get maybe, let's say, 8 boxes of Dominoes, a couple sides or whatever. And he came in and he was like, and if you think you're fucking getting some of that, tips over the physio table. And chucks that over, and I think they went everywhere, like over lads, training gear and all that kind of stuff, if I remember rightly. And you kind of have that first taste of, like, right, this is what he can unleash, kind of thing. And I think it's important to see that side of him. It's important to have that. 7-2 is not acceptable against Morton, but you could still be scared of him.
Anybody pick up a bit of pizza for the ground?
I think he probably did too.
I would have as well.
He probably realised what you've done, and he's like, actually, I'm starving here. Long journey back home with no pizza. So
you take your tomorrow as tomorrow coat and ram it to that pizza, he says. Who's the biggest joker that you've played with or been in the dressing room and some of the...
Charlie McGrew. Without a doubt. I can answer that straight away. Even just as a storyteller, as a...
Paul's his biggest fan, so you're going to need to get back inside there.
It's all right. Like, I'm not here to kind of tell you all of his stories. He was just from whatever was happening during the day, he would be the one to kind of be sitting in the room telling jokes, even as a 40-year-old man. He was hilarious. And being able to turn a story that was maybe like 70% truth and add on that extra 30% of nonsense that just sounded hilarious. he was the man for that. He was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, one thing I didn't have down here, but we were, again, you were there or thereabouts at the time, but we hear Ian Harkes was one of the biggest people for getting fines for just being
Fines.
daft.
I think
And we hear the fines could be brutal.
like the fines were rough. Some of the days the fines were rough. Like Harksey, like I still occasionally keep in contact with him. He's obviously doing well in America now, and wife's pregnant and everything like that. He seems pretty settled. But as a guy, you know, I think us Brits kind of think of him as like Americans as slightly cringy people. And there was a few times he would come out with a few funny statements where he'd be like let's go guys, like all this kind of American kind of weird chants and that he'd come out with. I'd actually say I'd probably disagree with the worst for fines. Like first sort of worst for fines I'd say was Jondo. Jondo was horrendous for fines, I remember.
I'd not be chasing him to pay his fine. Like I wouldn't be.
This is the thing. This is the thing. Like he'd drive his big Mercedes. He had a big Mercedes GLE, whatever. And we had at the time we were obviously parking at the uni, and there was a street where you couldn't park in. So if you parked in that street, it was 50 quid fine. It was a hefty fine, and he'd park there every day. So you'd come out to training and he'd be like, Jondo, your car's in. Whatever, like this, and then lads would be obviously looking to get stuff into the kitty, and he'd be having to pay his 50 quid fine. You'd see at the end of the month he'd be down like 600 quid, and lads would be like, Jondo, what's happening? He's like, I'm not paying for it. And you'd be like, well, he's such a good player on the park, you kind of feel like you're chasing him up for the money and that. I think he ended up leaving with probably a direct debit bill of about $2,000 or whatever.
I think with the youth team involved as well, and sort of getting fined. Obviously, not at the same level, given you won't be as much money thrown about. But
yeah, there was a. I think if you had signed like a sort of first team contract as such, you were fined equally.
Sorry.
The under 18s, we had our own fines. We had our own little fines, like where it obviously wasn't as much as whatever, but we'd have our own team night at the end of the year, and that's what that would kind of go towards. But fines were always a thing that were brought in from when even when we were young. Yeah,
daft ones as well, because we had like even stuff in showers and.
But like, yeah, but even stuff like that, like most of the time as under 18s, you'd be punished for that, like with like dares and all that kind of stuff. Like Bo used to come in. I remember Darren Watson. If you remember Darren Watson,
yeah.
Darren had a situation where I think he was being cheeky or something like that to one of the first team staff. Like just he was quite of a joker. And Bose went in after the session and took all of his clothes, ran them down the shower, soaking wet. And we had a United flag at the pavilion where the pavilion was. So he brought the flag down, took the flag off, hooked all of his boxers and his socks and his shirt and rolled it back up, and it's sitting there waving in the sky like that when he's coming down. Or they'd be like, have to do like laps. You do like a lap in your slips, which was just like your boxers and that running about, and there's uni students coming about going, what's going on there? Few like icebreakers or that kind of stuff. You know?
Honestly, see that you mentioned earlier, getting like the manager of your phones and you need to go and speak to him. That's just you could imagine him as you go up the stairs. He's sitting there, pissing himself laughing because he knows how awkward it's going to be.
Yeah, and he'd talking his voice. What are you talking about? Like, you go and speak to him. You're cool.
He's brilliant, eh? He's brilliant. He's always brilliant with us.
You're uplifting as well, clearly.
But he's such a character. And he's obviously quite an important part of the first team sort of squad still now, and still getting a red card booked now and again.
Yeah, he plays his part, doesn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who is the best trainer that you've played with?
Peter Pot. Again, you call these quickfire questions, but like people that come to mind straight away. I remember Pete and Pot, people like in the small, intricate stuff like the boxes that we'll do, like rondos, or we'll do like small-sided games or whatever. He was a nightmare to play against. Nightmare. As well as what I would say is Benji Siegrist was a nightmare. Benji Siegrist, if you were doing a shooting drill or whatever, you'd be in a nightmare if he was in the goal. Like you'd be struggling to save anything because he was so big. But yeah, those two kind of stand out for me, I'd say.
Favourite away day as a player?
Favourite away day as a player?
Could be current as well. Doesn't have to be United time, obviously.
I'd say Ibrox. Having that opportunity to go away and play at Ibrox was like unbelievable, you know? Like going away, completely. Like going away to an Ibrox stadium, especially for the first time where you're going away, you're playing at like 60,000 stadium or 50,000, and you kind of get that first taste of that hostile environment of going to the sideline, taking a throw in, and you're getting called everything under the sun, like you're shite, all that kind of stuff.
And that was
way
polite.
worse than that. Obviously. Yeah, way worse than that. Way worse than that. I think that kind of like the eye opener to like, whoa, like have I actually got this about me?
Yeah.
Ibrox or Celtic Park with a nightmare.
What is your go-to pre-match meal?
Pre-match meal, I'd usually in the morning have some kind of eggs, beans on toast, that kind of stuff, and then we play obviously in the night time over here, so we play 7:45. And before I'd have just a big bowl of pasta. I'd try and carb up as much as possible to avoid any cramps. So it would be a chicken pesto kind of pasta, varies every now and again. I'm not too religious on it, but I'd say your sort of standard chicken pesto pasta, nothing too revolutionary.
What's the post match over there? Because they still do pizzas for the first team here.
Yeah, no, we have a catering service, and they would bring in. We would get sort of meals coming in, whatever it is. It's usually some kind of Thai stuff or pizzas. It would be sometimes.
You're
behind the pizzas though, because I think the pizzas is pretty damn unhealthy. Tasty, but not the healthiest.
I look like a sports scientist.
I'm asking you. You can your way around the pizza.
I'm desperate to ask him if he's had a spice bag. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Which means different in Edinburgh as it does Dublin. But
yeah, it does. But the spice
incredible.
bags over here are unbelievable. Unbelievable.
We'll get a £20 flight.
Yeah, there you go.
Sounds class, like. Jeez, class. What do you make of XG, pre-assists, and VAR?
We're into this new era, aren't we? Of
nonsense.
Yeah, of stats and of human error coming out of the game, or still being in the game when. Yeah, we don't have VAR over here. No, we don't have VAR over here.
And you enjoy your football?
We do. And it becomes a stage where the referees have to be skilled enough that you can obviously account that they're going to make errors, and that is what it is. But you don't have a situation where you have this technology and you're still going and making the same arguments, So we're in a situation where we understand there's going to be referees will make mistakes, linos will make mistakes, all this kind of stuff. But we can go and speak to them, and we can speak to them formally and be like, look, how's this happened? And he's like, look, I didn't see it like that when the game was on, that kind of stuff. But if you have VAR, I've never been a big advocate for it, especially when there's been so many different rule changes to it. And I think it ruins the flow of football games when you see games going on for, especially in personal opinion, when you see games going on to like the 100th minute and all that kind of stuff, you're like, whoa. Like that pays its toll on fans. It's not nice to see.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. We're massive fans of it, but yeah, it's a very stat-led time at the moment.
Yeah.
Who is the best player that you've shared a pitch with?
Shared a pitch with?
Mm-hmm. Be it teammate or opponent?
Yeah. You'd probably go back. I remember we played. At Celtic, at Rangers, we played the lad Stephen Davis in the middle of the park. I thought he ran the show that game. That was one of them ones where probably felt like you were like just kind of sitting in and trying to hold in. Another player was Near Beaton.
Oh yeah,
for Celtic, and he played defensive midfield when we played him at Celtic Park, and everything he done was 1-2 touch. And I was playing sort of number 10 at the time, and I felt like I couldn't get near him. And he was obviously a big enough lad where you were maybe trying to be clever and run off the back of him, and all of a sudden you've got the ball at your feet and he's up your arse again. He ended up getting sent off that game actually, but I walked away from that game just going like, I didn't even lay my hands on you. It was, I think it was 1-0 or was it 0-0 that game maybe, but still, top quality player. You've obviously got.
He was a good player.
He gets sent off, and you're like, fucking thank fuck for that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think I got subbed off like a minute after that, and I was like, oh come on, like, at least give me a chance to. But then obviously you've got your usual suspects like Callum McGregor, unbelievable, Ryan Kent, like Jota, these kinds of players where they were running the show,
What teammate or ex-teammate would you like to have in your five-a-side team?
Well, yeah, like I spoke about him there, like Jondo. I remember Jondo being in there. Trying to think of somebody new for you.
Animal.
Oh, animal. Absolute animal. Like, just had every attribute you could have wanted apart from height. But that wasn't his game. You know, his game was.
Are you amazed he's no went on to like levels? Like, he left us, went down south, and he's in Azerbaijan or something now. It's like
he went to Israel for a while. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He did not play with Cujo as well.
Yeah.
Was that Israel? He played with
Israel,
Cujo.
aye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's probably players that you look back and go, like he came to us from Spain, wasn't it? It was Spain he came from.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously played in France as well. And you kind of go, yeah, like what kind of, not necessarily went wrong, but like, I think he had a couple of injuries when he was down in England.
Yeah.
And he was probably in a situation where he was maybe a bit unlucky. And then he's obviously just tried to keep going and play in whatever country he kind of can. But yeah, like it's probably one where you look back and go, he could have went really, really high.
Yeah.
Other players like Stephen Fletcher, like Dylan Levitt, and these boys, like they show their quality in a lot of instances. Like the Dylan Levitt when he had that wonder season with us, like that first season he came on loan, like he was doing that in training. And like you'll see obviously like the quantity he did it in games, but like you see that every day in training, and that was something to really behold. Fletch, like Jesus, like disgrace of a footballer. People don't realise like the dark arts of football of like he could do like a switch of play with his head. Like it would come into him and he'd be like bang, and it'd be like over the other side of the pitch, and you'd be like,
he was
how's
good.
he
He
done
just
that?
retired actually yesterday.
Yeah, so
Is he
Retired.
okay?
just retired? Yeah.
Great hair as well.
Magnificent considering he was as bald as us.
Correct.
Yeah, he
7
was at
years
one
ago.
point. Yeah. He was
So
at one
there's
point.
hope yet, Rondo. There's hope yet.
So we've not got the money, but there's definitely hope. Definitely hope.
Who's been the biggest influence on your career up to now?
I'd say without a doubt it would be my dad. I think like having the countless trips that I was spoken about up to Dundee and back every day of the week almost, and always the man who was always, anytime I had any doubt, it was always like, look, straight away, no, you can do this, you can believe in yourself, you know, we believe in you. And like even now, like if there's a situation where I've maybe had not a great game or whatever, he'd be the first person on the phone to say like, like keep your head up, like this isn't like that big of a deal, like don't worry about it, you'll bounce back, all this kind of stuff. And my brother as well. Like he sacrificed a lot when I was young for me to be able, so my dad could have time to go and come and pick me up from training, and all that stuff isn't forgotten about. And he still sends me like unbelievable messages after games that you're sitting in a bad spot, and then you get these messages, and all of a sudden you're in a good mood again. Yeah. So all these.
Do they get over to see you? Do they get over to see your games a lot? Yeah.
They've been over.
It's 20 quid a flight, of course they do.
Well, they should.
Yeah, it's been over. Obviously they have. They're able to watch the League of Ireland as well. So anytime they're obviously they're very busy men themselves in their own rights, and anytime they're able to come over, they do. I think they're coming over next week or the week after. So it's good when the moments we maybe don't get to see each other as much as we're used to. They come over and we're good to spend a wee weekend together. So yeah,
Nice over, watch a game, pint of Guinness, spice bag.
a lot. Unreal.
Just as well the flight's 20 quid because the rest are fortune.
Very true.
Exactly.
Music in the dressing room. If you're in charge, what's on the playlist?
See, I'm going to be one of these little cliche ones where I'd like a bit of everything. If it was in the morning, if we were having a bit of morning, I'd like a bit of like, your
This is where you come out the artists that Paul's got no idea about.
No. I wasn't going to say anybody like that, but like, I'm liking a lot of. I don't know if you've heard of like Tame Impala recently. Are coming out a bit. Oasis. I like a bit of Oasis in the morning. Something to kind of just start your day off nice and relaxed, but a bit of good mood. And then if we're in the gym, it would be your kind of rap music or your house music kind of stuff that you would listen to at concerts or whatever. That would be me. But I like to dabble in a bit of everything. I wouldn't be a one where I'd be like, this is my show, I'm gonna stick to it. Every time I'm on the speaker, it's always like, we're playing this again.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Have you you've been at a gig yet?
I went to my first one over here in Ireland. I went to Noah Khan over here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that was unbelievable. So my missus actually, she stays right next to Croke Park. So anytime there's a concert on at Croke Park, we can just sit outside and listen to it. So I've listened to Oasis when they came over, ones like Robbie Williams and that kind of stuff. So that's great crack.
Not getting paid enough to actually get in the stadium.
Nah.
Terrible. We'll hear one. We'll hear one.
Yeah, please.
What Netflix show or film have you binged recently?
Ozark. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Class.
Ozark. Have you watched it?
I've never watched Ozark.
Marty Bird. Oh,
yes.
wow.
It's incredible.
Like even the slow start to it, I was like,
gotta stick with it.
Once they get out to the Ozarks, it's
100%. Gotta
It's
watch,
top.
Rondo.
Speaking a different language to me.
Get that watch.
Yeah.
Shite with TV. Like,
Ozark will not let you down.
honestly, I generally don't watch very much. Like Claire watches. She's watching some shite now, The Girlfriend or some pish. But
Jesus,
I don't really watch a lot of
Ozark.
TV, like.
Give Ozark a go.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
Well, you've just said that. You know what's going to happen. First thing I'll be like, nah.
It's slow, but it's worth it.
I'm going to put the League of Ireland on. So I'm going to watch.
Only the Bohemians, so that's what.
I'm not really up for that. I've not really watched that. I've not watched any films either. I'm really shite with TV these days. Hey, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the questions, will you?
See, we're Friday night football most of the time. How do you spend your weekends?
Yeah, so we have most of the time it'll be Friday to Friday, so you'll have Saturday, Sunday off. We'll obviously have a day off, probably chilling out, doing something with your mates or whatever you've got planned, and then you'd be in a situation where you have to do some kind of recovery. So I'm signed up to a gym over here, go in and do your kind of recovery from there, and just kind of be ready to train again. I think like people obviously all understand, like players will know it's quite a lonely life as a footballer. It's very, there's a few things like going on a hike or going on anything that's probably a bit unrealistic if you're looking to do that on your time off, where you have to kind of be ready for training on the Monday morning.
Or spend 2 hours speaking to us.
This is relaxing enough to be so. But
Not much of a
stuff
perk.
like this will. No, this is the time where footballers will get a lot of time off. We're finished at lunchtime every day, and you have a kind of that social time where you can go away and have a coffee or whatever, and that's probably what I enjoy doing the most, is going away for a wee coffee and having a wee chat with my mates or whatever. So
Yeah, a fan of Guinness?
right, so I'd never had a pint before I came over here, and the first night out I tried it, and it was like having a meal. You put on that brave face initially of like, oh yeah, you can have that, and then you get told to split the G, obviously. And I remember like I've took that first couple of like the 3 biggest gulps I've ever took in my life, and I'm still maybe 3 more away from splitting the G. And you realise that, I'm going to be here for half an hour just not speaking to anybody, in the corner by myself with this pint of Guinness trying to tackle it. It's not something. I went to the Guinness storehouse when I first came over here.
It's class, isn't it?
It's
Class.
very good, very, very good.
Yeah.
And I got my first kind of taste of that proper Guinness, and I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I definitely have probably 1 or 2 on a night out if I was out, just as sort of social protocol.
You're right, though. It's a meal. It's class.
Yeah. Fill you right up, like.
Yeah.
The final question that we ask all our guests is, how do you sum up your time at Dundee United?
Yeah, I sum up my time. Probably easiest way would be sort of that kind of roller coaster journey of having that first sort of taste of first team football, but ultimately growing up as a person through up Dundee United, and it'll forever have a close place in my heart for obviously being there for such a long time and starting my career there and all that kind of stuff, and everything that you learned, people that you met. But ultimately very rewarding. Very rewarding. I was one of the very few lucky players who were able to come through the whole academy and make appearances in the first team. And ultimately, like, I don't look back on having any regrets. And I certainly hope that, if there is ever a chance to get back to the United, then I would, that would be brilliant at any point. You just never know what the future holds, So we'll see. But like, I look back on my time at Dundee with fond memories. Absolutely. And I obviously wish them the best of luck in whatever they're doing this year, especially this year where the league's a little bit all over the place so far at the start. Like with people being in positions that you probably wouldn't suspect, Rangers and all that kind of stuff. And So I think he's got a right chance this year to go and do something successful.
So we call him Young Erch, and back in the day, you'll remember when we were on about him on the loan report, we always said he's got an old head on young shudders. And having spoken to him now at length, more of that opinion than ever before. Like he came across very well, some good stories.
Pfeiffer.
But don't hold that against him. Nah, but he was really good. He was class. And he does seem old before his time. He's full of wisdom and whatever.
Yeah.
And he's doing very well for himself just now. He's enjoying his life over in Ireland. Never say never about one day coming back. You can't rule anything out in football, I suppose. But to give us a lot more time than what I thought we were going to need to speak to young Erch, it was fantastic. So thank you very much to him. And I enjoyed it. Ronda, what about yourself?
Paul says to me, I got an hour, I'll be good, eh?
An hour would
2
have
hours,
been
20
like
minutes.
an hour was pushing, like just filled mere daft questions there, Ronda.
2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it was really good. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Considering it was somebody that didn't play that often for us, but we wanted to touch on his journey through the academy system and whatever, similar to what we did with Sheep, because that kind of fascinates me, like the dedication that the young boys at that age have got to show and display and put into craft, or their own craft. Sorry,
100%.
it's like, if I think back to when I'm 14, 15, 16, I'm not putting in any sort of dedication like that unless it was playing on my Sega Mega Drive. Like, I could do that for hours and hours. I'm not getting up early to go to school so I could run about, pretend I'm good at football and whatever. It's just not happening. But these boys, that's how they get to where they are.
Yeah.
By doing that.
He's near the end of the season, still playing for sort of European qualification, and then he'll be back for a good few weeks over the festive period. And I wouldn't be surprised if he rocked up at Tannadice to watch a game. Put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, they're great to speak to him.
Top
Good
man. Top man.
That was just sort of last week. I think we mentioned it in there because it's a question that we asked, but it was done just over nearly 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I sat on it just for this week, obviously.
Yes.
for the
Because
free
of a
week.
bloody free week.
Yeah. When Young Erch being our guest, let's have a look at the United team when he made his debut and see where they are now. It was in the league. It was Kilmarnock 3, United 0. It was on Wednesday, April 21st, 2021, at Rugby Park behind closed doors.
Well, we know who was on the bench, don't we? Because he touched on that.
I'm not even getting to the bench. I'm only getting the first 11.
Okay.
Dennis Mehmet was in the goal. And he's been at Dunfermline since 2001.
Yep.
Mark Connolly.
So 2001.
2021.
he's just Dennis Mehmet.
63. The $1 million man, Derry City captain.
Yep. Scabby knees.
Jamie Robson.
What is he now, actually?
Plays for Mickey Mellon at Oldham.
Oh, so he does. We've mentioned that a while back. Yeah.
Kerr Smith.
He's just bloody injured himself again, eh?
Yep, on loan at Barrow in League 2.
He's not getting much luck.
Nah.
Nin. Nin would be the luck that he's getting. That's
Yeah.
a shame. Yeah.
Liam Smith.
Just along the road. Kai's mate.
St Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Bolton.
Probably counting his money somewhere. Salford.
Well, he's certainly not dishing at the Young Erch, just cleaning his bits anymore. So.
No, I can't.
He just joined League One Mansfield in the summer.
Okay.
Adrian Sporla.
Back him.
Yeah, plays in the Argentine top league for Belgrano.
Excellent.
Jondo.
Is he still over in Israel?
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
We mentioned this to
I
Young
can.
Erch.
It's full of miss.
Mind, the illusion is he was here
Yes.
the day.
He was, yeah.
But it
Of
was
course he was. How could I
last
forget?
week. Kabbalah. Plays for Kabbalah.
Oh, good team. Yeah.
Ian Hanks.
Never heard of him.
The soon-to-be baby daddy. Plays for San Jose Earthquakes now.
Yep.
Flo Hottie. Mentioned by Young Erch.
Yeah. Well, he mentioned him in the sense that's how he got his first start because Hottie got injured.
He plays for Halifax Town.
Are they National League
I
stuff?
think so, yeah. And the final starter in that 11 was Louis Perry or Louis Appere, or
he's on about his third team. Stevenage now, is it?
joined Cambridge United
Cambridge.
in the summer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
What was that starting 11 that day?
It's mental, the turnover of players, though. It really is. Because it's relatively...
4 years?
It's not that long ago. And Abdi's scattered to the four winds now.
Yeah. I think, I can't mind on the bench, there might be one or two names still
Shankland.
there. I think Shankland's on the bench.
Nicky Clark, was he on the bench?
But I think there might be at least maybe one that's still here. But I only done the starting 11 because it's hard enough trying to find out where they are. So sometimes. But there we go. That was that on that young Erch. Again, cheers for giving up your time and your big party house over in Dublin. On this day then, to finish things off in association with the Arab Archive, preserving the history of Dundee United Football Club since 2006. 13th October is our focus today, and we've got 3 wins against Hibs and a new manager debut. 1979, United 2, Hibs 0 on a greasy Tannadice pitch. United battled a hard-earned win. Willie Pettigrew opened the scoring, probably inside the 12-yard area, after neat work for Graham Payne before sub Ralph Milne came off the bench to seal it late on. Persistence and patience paid off as United made it 6 league games unbeaten. 1990, it looked destined for a draw until the final minute. A long punt from Alan Main bounced awkwardly in the box, and under no pressure, Willie Miller headed over his own keeper Andy Gorham for a freak own goal. United stayed top of the league with their 100% home record intact. So that's win 2 of 3 against the High Bees.
Was it that game?
2001, trailing early, United turned it round after the break. Jim Hamilton struck twice, a close range effort followed by a stunning lob before Danny Griffin smashed home a free kick to seal an impressive comeback win at Tannadice as it finished 3-1 against the High Bees. 2018, it was new boss Robbie Neilson getting off to the perfect start as United dominated in Glasgow. Fraser Aird volleyed in the opener. Pavel Shafranko tapped on a second. Partick pulled one back late on, but United held firm for a deserved first win under Robbie Neilson.
Yep, was it that game as well? Righty there. Sogan.
Signings. A Peterhead ball striker joined United from Fraserburgh, the Broch, for $35,000 after 5 years in the Highland League. He made his debut in an 8-0 win over the Barton, but featured only a handful of times before moving to Falkirk in 1997 for the same fee. Signed on this day in 1995.
I think Marino Keith, but I'm sure he was before that.
Marino Keith.
Marino Keith?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Done well there.
Joined United for £400,000. Scored on his debut against St Johnstone. Netted the vital playoff winner against Partick to seal promotion. After spells with Motherwell, Dunfermline and Falkirk, where he was player manager, he returned to Tannadice as a player coach in 2003. Also signed on this day in 1995.
Mr. Owen Coyle.
Correct. Yeah. So they were both signed. No birthdays this week. But
that's all right.
A double striker signing for the grand total of $435,000.
Yeah. It was Luggy's birthday through the week, though.
It was
It
indeed,
was the
yeah.
great Paul Sturrock's birthday through the week, yeah. Top man.
Greatest ever player? Or does Dave Nerry just
I think even Luggy would say Davy Nerry, but he's in the conversation.
Oh,
But he's on the Mount Rushmore, I would suggest.
absolutely.
Yeah. What a man. Top man.
Top man. Yeah. 69?
60. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that.
Big in next year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It just it's that the real we are getting old, right? As we were a lot younger when we started this podcast, we may have both been in our 30s. But like when that's happening, you know, those legends are getting to that age. I mean, the goalie must be about 93 now, and he's
easy,
still telling brilliant stories.
Yeah, I think he retired when he was 93, so he'll be a wee bit older than that.
Yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, look, his birthday through the week, which is amazing. What a man.
Hope you had a cracker all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Episode 305 is done after Ibrox on Saturday. New manager bounce? Hopefully no. Find out more, DodeFoxPodcast.com. You can follow us on the socials. We're at DodeFox Podcast. You can like, subscribe, click the notification bell on YouTube, and support the pod. buymeacoffee.com/DodeFox Podcast. Have a great week. Stay safe. Let's hope for the best result for Scotland tonight. And don't forget to wash your hands and your arsehole.